Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Kami gives Naruto senju and Uzumaki bloodline. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by ORIGINALITY010101 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Before the act of betrayal. Ever since the blonde hero brought back the new Goddamn Hokage, things have been looking up for our blonde hero. There were no brutal and occasionally beatings, no outrageous prices that could bankrupt a Jounin, and no more hostile glares for what he carried. Life was looking upwards for Naruto as he walked down the street which leads to his new Hokage's tower. Unknown to him, life was about to get better before it gets worse. Tsunade's Senju wasn't having the time of her life right about now, thanks to every Kage's worst enemy. Her battle with her arch-nemesis went on for long hours, and the soreness of her arms was a definite sign, a sign that told her the enemy was winning. Her enemy managed to push her to the edge and made her sweat like her pet tauntaun whenever she worked out. What will it take to put you guys down? Tsunade demanded and furiously fought back against her foe. Tsunade-sama. Shizune cried worriedly as Tsunade continued her everlasting fight. Suddenly, a deep sore struck her right wrist, which forced her to cry out in pain. Ah. Shizune. I need medical attention. Tsunade said and held out her wrist. Shizune knew she had to act quickly or else her sensei might never be the same again. The Hokage's assistant quickly applied a quick healing technique to Tsunade's wrist. Thank you Shizune. Tsunade thanked and turned back to her desk. Now back to where you came from, you evil entity. Tsunade screamed. Shizune couldn't take it anymore and blocked her sight with her hands, but she couldn't help but peek through her fingers. I got you now. Take that, you evil and worthless scum. Tsunade grinned. To her frustration, the door knocked and in came Naruto Uzumaki. Hey, Bachan. I see you're up against Kage's greatest foe. Naruto grinned much to Tsunade's annoyance. What you want, brat? Tsunade asked dangerously, this monstrosity won't stay down. I see that. Naruto said then smirked, but I know how to beat it. Naruto told. A gasp escaped Tsunade's lips when Naruto confessed he knew a way to defeat her new arch-nemesis and she was desperate to know how. Tell me how to crush my worst nightmare. The paperwork's already gotten to me. Tsunade pleaded. In a flicker of the light, Tsunade picked Naruto up by the collar and shook him for answers. Page Bunchins. Naruto answered with a grin. His answer brought about silence for a good second before understanding settled in. Oh my Kami, Shizune gasped by the simple answer. Tsunade just stood there, dumbfounded over the simplicity of how to beat her latest enemy. Thank you Naruto-kun. You freed me from the oppression of paperwork. Tsunade cheered and had a mini party to herself, but was quickly interrupted by a tap to the shoulder. Well, now that you're Hokage and beaten every Kage's enemy, can I ask you a question? Naruto asked eagerly. You just did. Tsunade deadpanned and blinked a few times. Oh well, now that you're Hokage, I've been meaning to ask you something. Naruto informed. The way he said it raised Tsunade's eyebrow. Go ahead and spit it out. Tsunade said softly with a warm smile. Remember when I saved you from Kabuto and slammed a Rasengan to his chest? I saved your life that time, right? Naruto asked. Tsunade didn't know where Naruto was taking this, so she played along. Yes. Tsunade answered in a drawn-out way. Good, so I saved your life and beaten every Kage's enemy. So I want you to answer one of my questions with complete honesty then. Naruto stated, then took a deep breath. Do you know who my parents are? Naruto asked her, rather pleaded her to tell him. Tsunade gulped by the question. As Hokage, she already knew of Naruto's heritage. When she saw Naruto with the puppy eye technique, she wanted to tell the truth, but she had many reasons not to. If word ever gotten out about Naruto's heritage, then his parents' enemies might come out to get him. Tsunade knew it wasn't fair for the boy, and she desperately wanted to help him after all he did for her in their short time together. Within 2 weeks, Naruto brought Tsunade's will of fire back by finishing the Rasengan, pronounced his dream to become Hokage, which reminded her of her brother and her lover, protected her against Kabuto who used her hemophobia against her, cured her hemophobia when he nearly died for her, which is kin to strange, removed all her debts upon her inauguration of becoming Hokage by the influx of money she gained, given her hope to love again, and just recently saved her life against every Kage's worst nightmare. Tsunade just couldn't lie to him after doing so much for her. It just wasn't fair. I'm so sorry Naruto. There's no record of your parents in any of the records we have. Tsunade lied. Shizune and Tsunade's hearts broke when they saw the defeated look on Naruto's face. What hurt them even more was when he bounced back with a fake smile. The two ladies in the room knew that smile was fake purely off their training to notice fake expressions. Naruto was good at faking expressions, but not good enough to fool his new Hokage. That's okay, but can you promise me that you'll try? Naruto asked with hope in his eyes. Tsunade nearly cracked under the pressure of guilt. Of course, kiddo. Tsunade promised softly. Naruto quickly left the office and just before he exited their sight, his fake smile turned into a heart-wrenching frown. "Tsunade-sama," Shizune said worriedly. Like Tsunade, she knew of Naruto's parents and she too wanted to tell the blonde, but she knew it wasn't in her place. "Like Kami, that was the hardest thing I ever had to go through. It's not fair. Naruto's done far more than saved my life and beaten my newest rival in such a short amount of time. I owe it to him to tell him of his parents." Tsunade admitted solemnly then turned to her greatest friend, Shizune. "Will you get me the files on Naruto Uzumaki please?" "At once Tsunade-sama." Shizune bowed and left. Not much time passed since that order and Shizune quickly came back with a thick folder in her arms. Shizune handed the folder over. "Thank you Shizune, now how about you go catch a break?" Tsunade said. "Thank you Tsunade-sama." Shizune thanked and left. The moment Shizune left, Tsunade started to skim through the folder. It didn't take long to figure out how bad Naruto's life was. What the hell? What is the meaning of this? They kicked him from the orphanage. Just because he backtalked the owner? Tsunade turned a page. "Oh Kami, no, these reports are wrong, right? No ninja or even a cage-level ninja could stay sane after 91 beatings, which 31 of them would have killed a grown man." Another page turned. "First entry to the academy, huh? What this can't be." Another turned page. "Second entry to the academy, what this is insane." The fourth page turned. "Third entry to the academy, oh sweet Kami, why the hell did you let this go on? What the hell is going on here?" Tsunade demanded and instantly her assistant came back in. "What's wrong Tsunade-sama?" Shizune asked worriedly. Tsunade would have noticed the fact she gave her assistant a break if the information in her hands was correct. "Take a look at this," Tsunade ordered. Shizune walked around the desk and started to skim through the folder. Instantly tears began to emerge from her eyes. Why would they do this? Shizune asked no one in particular. Naruto walked solemnly after he was let down yet again. Naruto just couldn't help but feel sad and lonely over the fact he will probably never know his parents. Despite common beliefs, Naruto knew what he was doing during missions. He wasn't an idiot whenever it came to the career of a shinobi. He was actually quite competent in the ability to detect liars. He knew Tsunade was lying to him when he asked for the identity of his parents. In fact, he knew the Sandaime lied about not knowing his parents either. Naruto once asked the Sandaime who his parents were and his answer was always, "I'm sorry Naruto. I don't know your parents, but they died in the Kyuubi attack," or something along those lines. It was hard to remember what was actually said all those years ago. The beatings often came with concussions and a few times shattered memories. It didn't make sense how the old man, or rather old fool, could know that his parents died in the Kyuubi attack, yet he doesn't know who they are. Naruto suspected trickery and discovered the Sandaime lied to his face every time he asked. Naruto isn't the smartest of his class, but he was certainly the stealthiest and cleverest of his class. It's needless to say that to be able to hide from Anbu teams as a kid was impressive and stealthy. He remembered this one time when he snuck in the old fool's office to take a peek at what the old man knew. To say the least, Naruto wasn't happy with what he found. Flashback. 3.75 of a year ago. Naruto had snuck through the Hokage's room with nothing but socks and his usual orange jumpsuit. He knew that socks lessened the sounds his footsteps made just enough for the Anbu teams around not to hear him. After all, he visited the Hokage's office and he knew the place was usually guarded by the Anbu, but he had an ace up his sleeve. Naruto knew the schedule of Anbu team transfers. Anbu team transfers are changes in Anbu teams. The teams do get bored and tired after watching an empty Hokage's tower all day long and new teams were transferred to relieve the Anbu teams. He found out of this piece of info by eavesdropping the Sandaime's office with his enhanced hearing capabilities thanks to his furry prisoner. He often used his enhanced hearing to eavesdrop on the Sandaime's conversations and, by the fates or by a stroke of luck, he overheard the schedule of transferred Anbu team schedules. He used this knowledge to time his entry to the Hokage's tower clad with everything except his sandals during one of the team transfers. He easily snuck in and took a quick peek on the old man's desk. He didn't find anything of importance, but there was one sheet of paper with a certain name on it. Minato Namikaze. Curious, Naruto picked up the sheet of paper and read it from the top to the middle. What he read angered him greatly. But that bastard. He was my hero. Why did that bastard seal this damn fox into me? Why me? Why couldn't he pick somebody else? Naruto read a bit more. I have a clan, why the hell didn't the old man tell me? I could have searched the remains of Yuzushi Agakure. They're my family after all. And who the hell is Kushina Uzumaki? Naruto read some more of the paper and threw it down on the desk, not before he grumbled angrily to himself. Why me? Why couldn't it be somebody like Sasuke team? Why did I have to burden all the bullshit? After all, I'm the last of a clan too. He picked up the paper again and finished what he read. Page Bunshin no Jutsu. But I suck at Bunshin Jutsu. Wait. Naruto's face grew a grin so large it stretched from ear to ear. My clan specializes in kage bunshins and fuinjutsu and the memory feedback and our massive chakra reserves. There was no words needed to express what went through Naruto's mind right there. The thought of months or even years worth of training in a single day was overwhelmingly useful. The possibilities of what could happen sprang to his brain, and he knew there was no limit to what he could do. He heard footsteps from the hall. Quickly and quietly, Naruto opened the window and leapt out after he closed the window back down. I think I should keep this to myself until I get more answers. Naruto thought, and he quickly made his getaway. Naruto kept the secret of his clan to himself. No one would believe the demon is in any part of a clan. Naruto had enough of the village's crap and secretly played the fool. And boy did he play the fool very well. Right after his little discovery, Naruto memorized the hand seal needed for the kage bunshins and used them for various tasks. Such tasks he did consisted to read scrolls from ninjutsu to taijutsu and to even jinjutsu, do the daily dishes, clean up his apartment whenever his apartment actually lasts long enough to clean, to avoid beatings, and to draw away any unwanted spies. And so Naruto started his run to the library, a place where information is common. The library wasn't a big fan of him and often kicked him out just because of what he held. He easily fixed this problem with a henge. He can effortlessly henge from the 3 basic ninjutsu scrolls he read through from the academy and Iruka. From the library, he read through hundreds upon hundreds of scrolls for any good pieces of information. He learned a lot of the wisdom and knowledge of taijutsu, hand-to-hand combat, ninjutsu, ninja techniques, the politics of the world, the history of the world, and even jinjutsu when he can't use it. He knew that chakra control derived from the amount of chakra one has. Because his clan and himself held such a huge bank of chakra, he and his clan can't effectively use the simplest of jinjutsu. However, his clan can continuously use higher ranked techniques without any respite. Regardless whether or not he can use jinjutsu, Naruto learned the secrets of jinjutsu purposely to find out how to dispel them. He figured if he could focus his vast amount of chakra then explode it in every direction, he could, in theory, dispel nearly any jinjutsu. After he figured out how to dispel jinjutsu, his first year in the academy came by. Naruto was sure he could pass as an average student in his first year through the written portions and the ninjutsu portions of the tests. He knew throughout the scrolls he read and ferried between himself and the library that he could pass through those 2 portions of the test, but then came the bunshin no jutsu. No matter how hard he trained, he couldn't summon a single bunshin. He freaked over that fact that he can't become a genin just because he couldn't do a single technique. Under Iruka's tutelage, the failure of a father figure, he can effortlessly perform the henge and the kawarimi. He later discovered something that startled him through an academy scroll. From that scroll, he knew from the start he was not to become a genin. He couldn't graduate without the ability to perform the bunshin no jutsu. From that scroll, he learned it was not possible to graduate the academy and become a ninja if he couldn't learn that single technique. Naruto couldn't believe it. He was in a rut from the start and it was all the old man's fault. Through Naruto's eyes, the old man's word was law, and if the old man said you have to perform the bunshin no jutsu, then you must. Naruto just couldn't believe the old man would do such a thing. Didn't he know Naruto will never be able to perform the bunshin no jutsu? He felt everything he discovered since his sneak in his so-called grandfather's office fall apart. But he swore he would become Hokage. He wouldn't let this go on without a fight. He vowed to himself that he will become so strong that not even the first 4 Hokages could beat him, and so he played the fool. He might fail his first year, but he might make it in his second. He will not let a single technique stop him to become Hokage. He will grow so strong without that technique the academy can't possibly reject his strength. It would be foolish to let a cage-level civilian not do missions simply over a single technique. And so began Naruto's secret life under the mask of the fool. He knew he needed more time to learn through the scrolls he ferried from the library. He certainly prepared himself mentally for the ninja world, but he isn't ready for it physically. Throughout his year, Naruto simply studied from the scrolls he took from the library, the 2 other necessary techniques, and the politics of the outside world. When his first year of the genin exams came around, he purposely failed the bunshin no jutsu on his first try. The next year came by, and Naruto saw a perfect opportunity to learn taijutsu and weapons. In this year, he saw today's team guy. He never did interact with Lee, Neji, or Tenten directly, but he certainly spied on them from afar. He learned from the shadows a great many deal of things. He learned about the Byakugan through Neji and didn't really attempt to spy on him, in fear Neji would reprimand him or do something of extreme measure if he was found. Despite the ability to hide from Anbu-level ninjas, Naruto didn't want to risk the chance of Neji to find him with the Byakugan. He heard stories of those eyes which can see through anything, and if he got caught by Neji would only bring up questions. And questions is something he can't risk to take. From Tenten, he learned how to throw kunai and shurikens correctly, and he learned he was once again realized he sabotaged. The academy teachers purposely sabotaged him in his attempts, even though he already knew he was a victim of sabotage from the start. He realized the kunai and shurikens he had received were faulty. For now, Naruto didn't have a solution to this problem and instead focus on something else. But what made him go on despite the odds against him was Lee. What he learned from Lee shocked and brought an amazing amount of awe in Naruto's soul. He learned through Lee, who has disabilities in ninjutsu and jinjutsu, managed to pass through to jutsu alone. That fact alone gave Naruto hope and noticed some flaw in the politics of the academy. Naruto didn't know what it was, but he was determined to find out. Naruto wanted to graduate in this year in hopes to be teamed with Lee, but he simply knew he wasn't ready for the outside world yet. He wanted the world to learn of the amazing dead last of Konoha. And so, he failed his genin exams again. The next year taught him to regret his decision not to graduate with Lee. In came the massive clan heirs in a single class. And in this class, a very diverse thing sprang up. His first follower, Hinata Hyuga. Naruto knew Hinata practically loved him after saving her from a trio of bullies. It hurt him that Hinata's guardian, Ko, pulled her away from him, but he knew it wasn't her fault that day. But he had no excuse to make contact with Hinata cause he had to play the fool. As much as Naruto wanted to return Hinata's feelings, he knew the villagers would take notice and take their anger out on Hinata, and there was no way he could do that to a gentle soul like Hinata. As so, he played the fool and faked his proclamation of his love to the pink-haired banshee, Sakura. To him, Sakura is just a tool for him to use to aid in his disguise of the fool, nothing less, nothing more. It certainly pained him to see Hinata's face whenever he pronounced his fake love to Sakura. He would love to return her feelings, but alas, it was not the right time. Maybe when he is in a position where he would return those feelings, but the question is, will she wait for him? The blonde assumed the worst, to not feel the disappointment when Hinata rejects him because he waited too long. Onto the other clan heirs, Sasuke was different. Naruto remembered his clan's massacre very well. He heard the whispers of the demon influencing Itachi to kill his own clan. But despite Sasuke's slain family, Naruto knew his problems are much worse. He had a clan, but not just a clan that ruled a piece of the elemental nations. The Uzumaki clan. To Naruto, he must get stronger than Sasuke. He wouldn't forgive himself if Sasuke, an heir to a much weaker clan, was stronger than him, an heir to a much more powerful clan. The Uchiha clan was one set to fall by the hands of one man, and the Uzumaki clan was one set to fall by the hands of 3 of the 5 strongest villages. Even if he didn't care about pride, his namesake demanded him to prove he is stronger. And it wasn't hard. Bless you, Cage Bunchins. Moved on to the other clan heirs, Naruto didn't see much competition. He quickly learned Shikamaru didn't really care about the aspect to become stronger, and his friend, Choji, followed him blindly. Naruto befriended them for the sake to fill the void in his hollow heart. It helped him cope with the hatred of the villagers when he had a few friends here and there. He noticed this generation didn't downright hate him for what he carried. Perhaps they don't know. That certainly made sense. Maybe there was some kind of protection that prevented the kids from knowing. Moved on to the rest of Konoha 12, Ino and Sakura are practically cannon fodder. Their desire for Sasuke kept them back and forced them to divert time from training to making themselves look good. Naruto thought them as fools for their idiocy. They clearly didn't sense the vibe Sasuke sent, and Sakura certainly didn't pay attention to Sasuke's introduction. Sasuke wanted to kill a person for all she knew, and Sakura was a complete fool if she cannot see that. To the Inyazuka of the batch of heirs, Kiba was just an arrogant ass who believed he was stronger than Naruto. Physically he might be, but intellectual-wise, good luck to Kiba, he was gonna need it. And to his female teammate Hinata, oh sweet Hinata. There wasn't any need to worry about her. She wouldn't dare get in his way to become Hokage. In fact, if given the chance, she would help him become stronger, but he couldn't risk the villagers' hatred to descend on her for her sake. The only real threat was Shino. He was analytical and dangerous with his chakra suck-powered bugs. Despite the possession of a huge bank of chakra, against Shino, it would prove useless if he couldn't be rid of his bugs. Luckily, he didn't have any worry with Shino. After Naruto saw Shino interact with nothing made it a cinch that he didn't care about power. About his generation. In a few words. His generation sucked. After he evaluated his generation, his 3rd gen in exams. He felt he was ready after all the training he stacked up for 3 years. So he actually tried to pass, but to his surprise, Mizuki team actually repressed his chakra for his Bunshin no Jutsu. Why would Mizuki do this? The only actual time he tried to pass his exam he ended up hindered by Mizuki. Naruto pretended not to notice and once again played the fool, but what caused Naruto to crash was Iruka's words, "I'm sorry Naruto, but you failed." He felt heartbroken. It just wasn't fair. Naruto actually tried to pass only to get suppressed by Mizuki. Couldn't Iruka tell he was being sabotaged? He was a freaking chunin. He should have known Mizuki sabotaged his test. His faith in Iruka shook since that day, but to his surprise and grown anger, Mizuki came up to him and told him a second way to pass. Now Naruto knew right then and there that there was no second way to pass the genin exams. If there was, then why didn't this chance show up the first 2 runs through the academy? Why didn't he know this through his 3 years of gathered information of the world? He knew something was up but didn't let Mizuki notice and played the fool. He listened to Mizuki who told him to steal the scroll of forbidden sealing. Naruto followed his command to the letter. He knew he could get in trouble if he got caught, but he had to put himself on the line in order to expose Mizuki for the traitor he is. There wasn't a single shred of belief in the villagers if he spread the word of Mizuki's betrayal. If he did this, then he would have the greatest chance to send Mizuki behind bars. And so, Naruto stole in the forbidden scroll and learned a technique as ordered. Inside the scroll, he recognized the cage bunshin, and since he already knew it, he moved on to a different technique. The next technique was nah, it'd only spoil something awesome if I told you that. Well, after he studied the mysterious technique, Iruka came around and scolded him about stealing the scroll. He wanted to talk back and tell him that Mizuki was the one who put him up to this, but then Mizuki came around and pinned Iruka to a wall with a hail of kunes. The bastard turned him and sneered at him for being the Kyuubi. Newsflash. He already knew that. But what shattered his heart was when Mizuki told him Iruka hated him because he killed his parents. It was not true, was it? Was that why Iruka never seemed to notice Mizuki sabotage his genin exams? It was true, wasn't it? Iruka would have said something when Mizuki sabotaged his test. Iruka should have noticed Mizuki sabotaged his test, but chose not to say anything. Both of them are chunins, and both of them should have realized the other did something. What Mizuki said made sense. Iruka hated him too. Iruka tried to say crap about he didn't see him like that, but Naruto knew Iruka lied. Naruto knew they had to be lies. Iruka doesn't care about him, he was just like the villagers. And when Mizuki threw that big shuriken at him, Iruka did something Naruto never expected. Iruka used himself as a human shield. His tears stopped falling if not momentarily as Iruka told him the truth. Naruto didn't know what to believe. The blonde ran as he heard Iruka's pleas to believe him. And so, Naruto ran through the forest doing who knows what. He couldn't stop. Trust was hard to come by to Naruto as he sped through the forest, but somehow, he started to overhear the 2 chunins talk between them. And what he heard shook him to his core. Iruka truly does care for him. But didn't he know Mizuki sabotaged his test? But he quickly forgotten that part when Iruka claimed Naruto was a lot like himself. Naruto felt touched, even with his emotional defenses, that Iruka played like a baka much like he did. Disbelief etched itself on Naruto's face as he listened in on their conversation. And when Mizuki was about to kill Iruka, something inside Naruto snapped. Rage filled his mind, and he stepped out on top of a tree branch. Mizuki talked and talked, but Naruto didn't hear anything. He only listened in on what Iruka said and so Naruto snapped. If you lay a finger on my sensei again I'll kill you. Naruto had roared and formed a pair of hand seals. Hajuu Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. About 100 clones formed in an instant that surrounded Mizuki and Iruka. The look on Mizuki's face was priceless as his screams echoed in the forest as Naruto and his clones overwhelmed the Chunin by sheer numbers. And when he was done, Iruka shocked the blonde twice in one day. He gave him his headband. Naruto's mask cracked that day when Iruka did a small shred of kindness for him. He couldn't help but hug the lights out of Iruka, but there was always a single shred of doubt in Naruto's mind. Iruka still should have noticed Mizuki sabotaged his genin test, but maybe just maybe Iruka never did see it. And after the business with a whole bunch of stuff, quickly came the Sandame's grandson. Little Konohamaru was too naive in Naruto's opinion, but he enlightened him a bit by showing him the true path of the Hokage. There are no shortcuts to become Hokage and yada yada yada. And then he became his apprentice. Huh, how strange. But oh well. Oh, and he taught little Kono the sexy jutsu. In his opinion, the sexy jutsu is a jutsu worthy of being a kinjutsu. He knocked out the Hokage with it for crying out loud. Why can't the people see its value despite its perverted quirks? Oh well, they're just stupid and let them be stupid. It'll help him have no competition of becoming Hokage. As he taught the Sandame's grandson his perverted technique, he always wondered what it would be like if he ever trained a team. But, he doubted anyone would let their kids get trained by the demon brat. It didn't seem likely. And then the business with Abisu, the special jounin, came and passed with him defeating the special jounin with Kage Bunshins and his sexy jutsu. The new harem jutsu easily took out the closet pervert in one go. Ding, 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 ding. Another kinjutsu added to his collection. Maybe he should be more like Orochimaru and gather and design more kinjutsus. Then came his team. His team consisted of Sakura, Sasuke and Kakashi. In other words, useless fangirl, traitor, and a bigger traitor. Naruto's hatred of Sakura grew when she admitted she thought him as an annoyance when he hinged himself as Sasuke. Damn the stupid expired food he ate. He was desperate for food that day and he had to drink expired milk. It didn't help when the villagers would overprice his expired goods. There was a good chance Naruto would have told Sakura off about his real self. Sasuke became a bigger prick when he gets all the training Naruto wanted. It wasn't fair that Kakashi devoted all his time to the damn Uchiha and didn't bother to give a glance or even a scroll to him or Sakura. Talking about the copy ninja, Kakashi was a huge prick to the blonde. He always would give what he wanted to Sasuke. Why? Why Sasuke? Bah, forget the Haddock and the Uchiha. Naruto could always topple the Uchiha and everything. During his time in spying on Team Guy, Naruto's Taijutsu was always a notch higher than Sasuke. During his first year, he noticed slips of paper that reacts to chakra, signifying what element he got, and he gotten everything the Uchiha's weaknesses are. Sasuke has fire and lightning, but Naruto has wind and water. Already, Naruto possessed a huge chakra reserve, and backed with his superior elements, there was no way for Naruto to lose. Not only does he have the elemental advantage, Naruto possessed the Kage Bunshins, meaning numbers and a superior training regimen too. Naruto's gotten Sasuke beat in nearly everything through numbers, reserves, elements, and cleverness. All Sasuke has on Naruto is the Sharingan and the power of Genjutsu, if he ever had any. Naruto, in theory, can dispel any hand-seal-based Genjutsu by exploding his already massive reserves to disrupt the Jutsu, and the Sharingan isn't helpful when your opponent is faster, stronger, longer-lasting, superior intellect, and far higher numbers. Naruto is simply stronger, faster, and smarter. There is no way Naruto could lose to Sasuke. Then came Team 7's first C-ranked mission. The mission started off with the old drunk Tazuna. The man seemed innocent enough to Naruto, but when the two Chunins called the Demon Brothers came around, the true colors of the old drunk showed up. Naruto was sure he could take on the Demon Brothers on his own. Overwhelm the two Chunins with Kage Bunshins and in the midst of chaos, slip in some explosive tags, the surprise and number of clones should give enough time to let the explosive tags to take effect. That should be enough, but he never had his chance because he had to play the fool. He knew the copy ninja, a Jounin, shouldn't have died against two Chunins, even with the element of surprise on the Chunin side, and he turned out to be right when Kakashi came out and slaughtered both Chunins. After a faked wince when Kakashi investigated his wound, Kakashi questioned Tazuna about the mission parameters. It turned out that Tazuna lied and revealed his story. Naruto's heart cried out to him, and he pleaded to keep the mission going. It certainly helped to have the team back him up to not be showed up and a fangirl who agrees with said team. Naruto grinned when Kakashi let the lie slide and allowed the team to move forward. Then came Zabuza and Haku. The demon of the mist certainly gave Kakashi a hard time. Naruto wanted to help but kept his mask of the fool throughout the battle. Only when he came up with the plan to use Fuma shurikens to force Zabuza into releasing Kakashi did Naruto allow his mask to slip. And his plan worked to perfection. It would have been better if he was allowed to water walk to prevent his cloths from getting wet, but keeping his mask on was more important. Man, the water was cold. After Haku, the fake hunter Nin, came by and saved Zabuza by paralyzing him with senbon needles, the team went to Tazuna's home. There, they met the beautiful Tsunami and her son Inari. At first, Inari was a bit of an ass and a prick, but a few words from Naruto and Kakashi set him straight. Oh yeah, Naruto also overheard the copy ninjas talk with the brat. It certainly told Naruto of Kakashi's light fondness with him, but Naruto still couldn't help but feel betrayed when Kakashi chose to train Sasuke more than him. And then the tree walking exercise. Naruto already knew of the tree walking exercise, but he had to play the fool. He could have beaten Sakura on his 63rd try. The 63rd try was the first time he ever did the tree walking exercise in everyone else's sight, but he purposely put less chakra on the soles of his feet to make himself look like a fool. It was all an act. And so, he purposely trained in the tree walking exercise again. When Kakashi left them to whatever his business, Naruto formed 100 or so Kage Bunshin to train in secret, away from Sasuke's sight. Each of the clones hinged themselves and walked around Wave Country in hopes of finding something to train themselves or to get some scrape of knowledge. What they found was Gato's corruption of an innocent land. Naruto wanted to do something drastic over Gato's hold on Wave, but he couldn't risk allowing his team to find out about his secret powers. Naruto guessed he was at least Chunin in strength, but he knew he couldn't take on a Jounin-level ninja like Zabuza. And so, the clones discovered how bad Wave had it, but it was nowhere near as bad as he lived in Konoha. Naruto felt compelled to save these people, but his secrets are more important for now. His clones did what they could, helped those who need help, fended off common bullies, saved lives that needed saving, but his clones wasn't enough. He needed Gato removed from play to save these people. And his opportunity came when he came to the bridge that one fateful day. But before then the real Naruto met Haku. Haku was a nice boy, or girl, or whatever he or she was, but he or she was certainly nice. Naruto wanted to do so many things with his first real friend, a friend who he can share plenty with, but it wasn't to be because of Haku's debt and purpose in life, Zabuza. He knew killing Haku would be hard, but Naruto wanted to save Haku from his position and possibly give him a life in Konoha. But it was too late to do anything when the time came to fight. he fought Haku on with Sasuke. Naruto wasn't sure he could take on Haku on his own, and with Sasuke around, he couldn't do any high-level techniques he knew. Sasuke would only copy them when he awakened his Sharingan. He did not want the team to copy his moves regardless of their situation. After getting pelleted with senbon needles, which didn't hurt much to Naruto mind you, he was beaten relentlessly and he sort of developed a high pain tolerance. Sasuke awakened the Sharingan after getting enough senbon needles to be called a porcupine. Eventually the fight escalated and Naruto took a bunch more hits and nearly fell unconscious. He had to be saved by Sasuke, but it came with Sasuke slipping into unconsciousness. Naruto snapped. Sasuke was the biggest prick in the universe, in Naruto's opinion, and he was his to kill. Haku might have been a good friend in the shortest amount of time, but that was it. Sasuke was Naruto's kill, and suddenly he felt empowered. He felt bloodlust. He felt the need to kill. He didn't know what this feeling was, but he felt a huge urge to beat the crap out of something. And he beaten Haku to a blood pulp in about a good 10 seconds flat. A few punches in the right mirror managed to knock him out of it. Naruto had a chance to kill Haku, but he stopped. Haku was Naruto's only real friend. Shikamaru and the others were only fillers to him, something to keep him busy and purposely fooled himself into believing he had friends, much like how a Jinjutsu works. Except he let himself get caught. He couldn't kill Haku, his first real friend. Naruto wanted to save Haku from his or her predicament, but it wasn't to be when Kakashi killed him on the bridge, albeit the copy ninja wasn't watching, but Naruto knew the copy ninja should have more control over his killing technique. In Naruto's eyes, Kakashi is a fool and a traitor to all he stood for. Naruto saw how uncontrollable his lightning technique was and knew that the Rikiri was very dangerous. Kakashi was a big fool for using that technique and look at the result. It killed Haku, an innocent, a friend. Naruto hated Kakashi that day. The Jounin should have noticed the Chunin level Haku before Haku threw himself at him. The Sharingan can easily perceive Haku's speed, as evident of Sasuke's poor control of the Sharingan. If Sasuke could see Haku, even for a little bit, then Kakashi can 10 times better. Kakashi is a fool. Naruto saw that. Kakashi should have noticed Haku so much earlier with his Sharingan and Haku paid the price for Kakashi's idiocy. Naruto only wanted Kakashi's training before the finals in the Chunin exams because Kakashi was all he had. Naruto hated Kakashi that day. After the death of Haku, Geto made his debut and spewed crap about Haku. Naruto wanted to mutilate his army of bandits, and he could if he wanted to, but his mask prevented him from doing so. But is it worth keeping his mask on if it could save lives like Haku? Naruto wasn't sure and kept his mask on. He was used to having the mask on anyways. Zabuza charged at Geto, killed all his bandits and finished Geto off. Naruto was happy Geto was dead, but it came with Zabuza's death. Naruto couldn't help but blame the stupidity of Zabuza's sacrifice. Kakashi, Zabuza, and a swarm of Naruto clone could have taken out the bandits and Geto, but no, Zabuza had to be an idiot and kill himself just to get to Geto, but that didn't mean Naruto wanted to save Zabuza. Hell, Zabuza could rot in hell for all Naruto cared, but Haku was all that mattered at this point. At least Zabuza had a heart to care about Haku. Naruto was grateful for that. After so many goodbyes from the people of Wave, Naruto and his so-called team left Wave, not before Naruto sent a clone to retrieve his free ramen coupon. The clone apparently saw the name of the bridge. The Great Naruto Bridge. The bridge named after him staggered him for quite a good while, but seriously, getting a bridge named after him felt good. Take that Sasuke team. After he gotten back the ramen coupon in secret, the team made it back to Konoha, where he meet a sequenced number of people in the Chunin exams. The Chunin exams. Apparently, Naruto saw the Jinjutsu on the sign and wanted to walk up the next flight of stairs, but Sasuke had to be an idiot and tell everyone of its existence. Fool, didn't he see the point of the Jinjutsu, to weed out the weak? If one couldn't dispel a Jinjutsu, then that person doesn't deserve to become Chunin. Sasuke's idiocy rose about a good 4 notches that day in Naruto's handbook. Then came the strongest genin, in Naruto's opinion, Rock Lee. After a small encounter between Sasuke and Lee back with the Jinjutsu issue, Lee followed his team in hopes of challenging Sasuke. Naruto felt jealous that people would consider Sasuke a greater threat, but he found a great opportunity to promote his Mask of a Dead last. Naruto thought he could give Lee a run for his money, but his mask was more important. After all, Lee could give even a good Jounin a good run for his money in a straight-up fight. The 8 gates are a deadly thing. But his mask needed promotion, and so he fell as easy prey to a sweep of his leg, but Naruto stayed conscious to see Sasuke getting beaten. It certainly brought a smile to his face when Sasuke got kicked in the chin. Then came the bigger version of Lee, Miyato guy. The guy was freaking awesome with that turtle summon, and the summon gave Naruto a good idea. He needed a summon if he was ever going to become strong. After the business with 2 of Team Guy, Team 7 entered the first part of the exams. Naruto certainly sweated a bit by Ibiki's interrogation techniques, but he knew the purpose when he read the impossible questions. Seriously? Who knows what the trajectory of a speeding kunai going on 50 miles per hour or whatever the problem demanded. Serious, only a Sakura would know that. Yeah, a Sakura. Sakura is now a thing after all the following she did for Sasuke. But what gave Naruto hope was a little help from Hinata. Seeing Hinata letting him cheat off her gave him hope that she still likes him romantically. Perhaps there could be something between the two of them yet. But he couldn't cheat off of Hinata. That would only get both of them kicked out, and that is something he cannot risk. But then the 10th question came. Oh Kami, that was a harsh day. The bullets Naruto sweated that day could fill a bathtub. It was that bad. Even his confident mask took a harsh blow by that ridiculous question. Seriously, how could he risk a career of his shinobi life if he failed the question? How could he do the same with his teammates and Hinata? That is till Hinata started to raise her hand. Sakura was behind Naruto at the time, and so Naruto didn't see her raise her hand, but watching Hinata slowly raise her hand absolutely crushed Naruto. He had to do something. Drastic, now, drastic. He had to do something big. He exploded on Ibiki. He shouted that he didn't care that he would become a genin for life. He will become Hokage even if it means staying as a genin for life. Somehow, someway, he'll become Hokage by becoming the strongest genin in history if he had to. He was glad he exploded. It stopped Hinata from raising her hand. That made him happy. He didn't want Hinata to fail because of confidence issues. And after his explosive protest, Ibiki laughed and passed everyone. Naruto couldn't help but cheer and smile. He passed. He passed as nobody expected him to. And the best part is that he never written a single answer on his test. Those questions was hard, even to his standards. So he did the Nara thing and didn't bother with it. It was too troublesome. Then came the crazy snake lady of the forest of death. Naruto knew of her harsh life, but couldn't interfere. The villagers would fear the demon brat and the snake's apprentice even more if they collaborated together. It wasn't smart to trigger the villagers' hatred. He definitely wanted to get to know the crazy snake lady more, but once again outside forces continued to interfere in his life. Then came the second part of the exams. Naruto could have taken charge, but in the first moments he really had to go. Literally, there wasn't any time for a bathroom break. Thanks crazy snake lady for the time limit. And so, he got jumped while doing his business. It wasn't smart in his opinion, but he couldn't help it. If he needed to go then he needed to go. And after he gotten ambushed he freed himself and returned with his team, only to be blown away by a Futen jutsu by the Sannin Orochimaru. The technique launched him near a giant snake. Man, that snake was big, but was beaten when killed by a mass of clones within its belly. Naruto knew that was a summon by the snake Sannin when it dispelled, and he knew his teammates was in trouble. Damn it. Why now? Why does it have to happen in his Chunin exams? He really wanted to become Chunin and hopefully Hokage, but if his teammates dies then he'll never become Chunin. Naruto leapt through trees until he finally saw Sasuke giving up their scroll. What the hell? That's his ticket to become Chunin. Sasuke has no right to pass that scroll, even if there was a godlike pedophile standing right next to him who eyed Sasuke like a delicious delectable piece of man meat. Now Naruto wasn't confident he can take on the Sannin, but with his secret technique, there might be a chance, but he never gotten the chance to use it when Orochimaru's snake summons frightened Sasuke. The team got scared. Naruto had to save his ass by using a bit of the Kyuubi's chakra. But that pedophile bastard sealed the fox away from him. It was a cheap move, but perhaps if he remained conscious and used his secret technique, then maybe there would be a chance. But it never happened when all he saw was black. Next thing he awoken up to was the feeling of dread. Sure, the Kyuubi was temporarily sealed off him, but Naruto was stronger than what people normally believed and awoken earlier than normal. He knew the dreaded feeling felt so much like the pedophile's work, and he knew that the warped and tainted chakra Sasuke committed was evil. He was awake when Sasuke broke Zaku's right arm. Didn't he hear Zaku's pleas for him to stop? Sasuke team apparently didn't care and broke his arms anyways. Naruto would have let Zaku go after his pleas, but Sasuke apparently had to break them. Naruto chose not to do anything because there was other Leaf Ninja around. He couldn't risk waking up and getting into a fight with Sasuke with that tainted chakra leaking from him. But to his disappointment, Sakura managed to calm him down. Seeing Sakura hug the bastard cemented his belief Sakura will never change. Naruto knew loving Sakura was a bad move and thankfully he chose not to. After the Sound Nins left Naruto chose to reveal himself and get the team back to the tower after getting a pair of scrolls from the Sound and Rain Ninja teams. The preliminaries came next, but before then was the politics of the world and how the Chunin exams work. Naruto already knew of all this beforehand and didn't really care. It helped to study how the world works with cage buncheons. Then came a bunch of fights for the prelims. Sasuke's fight was too easy in Naruto's opinion. Naruto remembered the feeling of dread when he awoke in the forest death. That means he didn't know of the curse seal yet. That Yoroi guy was too easy and only showed the power to suck on chakra. Seriously, Naruto has cage level reserves. There was no way Yoroi was going to absorb all his chakra if they ever fought without getting a beating from Naruto. After the match between that Yoroi guy and Sasuke, Naruto watched Kakashi whisk the traitor away. What made Sasuke so special? That damn Kakashi didn't even bother to watch his match, nor the Sakura match. Damn the copy ninja. Forget him. Don't forget, Sakura is now a thing in Naruto's eyes. With Kakashi gone, Naruto watched the rest of the fights with interest. Shino and that Zaku guy's match was sort of interesting. Naruto saw Shino used his intellect and his bugs to plug up Zaku's holes. The backup plan was a good idea in Naruto's opinion. Naruto found Kankuro's match interesting. The trick with the puppet definitely given Naruto ideas about the chakra strings Kankuro used for his puppets. If Naruto could learn chakra strings, maybe he could come up with some new pranks. The Sakura and the Ino match, yeah, Ino is also a thing too, was a complete waste of time in Naruto's opinion. Naruto only cheered the Sakura on because it was a team-like thing to do. And it helped promote his mask. Tenten and Tamari's match showed Naruto some uses for his Futon-jutsus. If there was one thing Naruto lacked in despite his 3 years of training, it was experience. The idea of Tamari using her Futon-jutsu to divert a markswoman like Tenten's weapons away with ease gave Naruto a few ideas. Shikamaru's match with Kin was awesome. Naruto liked Shikamaru's cleverness against Kin's Genjutsu, but Naruto thought Shikamaru could have dispelled Kin's Genjutsu with a good burst of chakra. Serious, Asuma-sensei, what have you been teaching your students? He should have taught them how to dispel Genjutsu. Then came Naruto's fight with Kiba. Alright. Yeah. Finally. Naruto wanted to show off a little of what he can do, and this is a perfect opportunity. But the problem came around when Naruto tried to form Kage Bunshins. What the hell? What happened? He tried to form enough Kage Bunshins to fill the room, but to his horror only 4 came out. What happened? Ugh. The one time he found a good opportunity to show off, he had to be hindered. It wasn't fair. So Naruto took a good beating from Kiba. It wasn't nearly as painful as the villagers' beatings were. The villagers would do much worse than what Kiba did to him, and so Naruto shrugged his blows off. And when he formed his Kage Bunshins came the birth of the Naruto Uzumaki barrage. Sure, Naruto copied a bit by Lee's frontal lotus, but Sasuke did it first. Who cares if Naruto did it second? But that combo, Naruto won and entered the finals. Then came the fight Naruto dreaded to watch. The fight between Hinata and Neji. He watched as Neji put Hinata down and crushed Hinata's confidence. Naruto hated Neji. He spied on he bastard long enough to notice his true colors, and he didn't like what he saw. When Hinata nearly gave up, Naruto couldn't bear to see that. He shouted at her. Shouted at her to not give up. He couldn't bear to see the girl who liked him give up, not to that bastard. When Hinata lost, Naruto still felt proud of her. He saw Hinata didn't give up, he was so proud of her. He wished he was on Hinata's team, but it was not to be. After Hinata lost, Naruto vowed to beat Neji to a blood pulp. The bastard was too cold for Naruto's tastes, and when his match comes, Naruto was going to cripple Neji for life. No one does that to Hinata and gets away with it. Putting aside his desire to beat Neji into a bloody puddle, Naruto watched Lee's fight with Gaara. Naruto knew Gaara was bad news when he saw him after his brother picked on little Kono. The stare he gave to Naruto felt familiar. He felt a connection with Gaara. He didn't know what it was, but seeing his inspiration fight against Gaara, he knew Lee was going to lose. It's tragic, but he knew Lee was going to lose against a fellow Jinchuriki. Osu and Chaoji's match was another complete waste of time. Sorry Chaoji, but in Naruto's opinion, he should have been a civilian. It would have made everything easier. After the Chunin exams, Naruto asked Kakashi for training. The man was his only source of decent training, but the damn copy ninja blew him off, saying his chakra control was horrible. That is a huge lie. Naruto's chakra control was greater than Sasuke's. At least Sasuke can't walk on water yet. And what's worse is he sent him off to Ibisu. The special Jounin was nothing special, and Naruto could have killed him 6 months ago when he was bleeding from his nose. That day Naruto hated Kakashi even more for favoring Sasuke over him again. After finding the stupid special Jounin, Ibisu took him to the hot springs, where he met Jiraiya. In short, Jiraiya beat Ibisu with ease. In all honesty, he hated Jiraiya for being the sensei of the Yondaime Hokage. He only saw use of the Gamma Sannin because of his Toad contract. The meeting with Mito Guy reminded him of his need for a summoning contract. He'll definitely become stronger with one of the 3 great summoning contracts, but before he could sign it, he had to walk on water. Again. Something was wrong, terribly wrong when he tried walking on water again. He fell in. What happened? His match with Kiba should have been a cinch, but now water walking was giving him issues. What the heck? He used to be able to do cartwheels on water. Why can't he do it now? His answer came when Jiraiya noticed the 5-element seal on his abdomen. Oh, how could he not have noticed that? The idea of Fuinjutsu came to his mind. Maybe he'll learn that later. Well, Naruto was somewhat thankful of Jiraiya after finding out his issue. Naruto could have told Jiraiya about his water-walking capabilities, but his mask demanded that he keep his secrets hidden from the Gama-sanin. It wasn't smart to let the Sandaime Hokage know of Naruto's plans through Jiraiya. There was no doubt that if Jiraiya knew of his true strength, then Jiraiya would probably tell the old fool about his powers. So he lied and pretended to fall in. He had a good month to learn, and before his next day, he sent in a dozen or so Kage Bunshins to learn a few things. He tried to learn the chakra strings Kankuro used in his prelims match, but to no avail. He didn't have the refined chakra control necessary to use them. Maybe later he'll have the potential to use them. He knew that puppetry needed chakra strings and Naruto often wondered if those strings can have other uses, maybe someday he'll learn that. He already knew of a few ninjutsu, so getting help from Temari wasn't going to happen. Later, a clone of his watched the battle between the Leaf Special Jounin that proctored the Chunin exams prelims and the Sand Jounin Baki. Naruto wanted to help his fellow Leaf Ninja, but his mask is more important. Or was it? He remembered he kept his mask on while Haku died. Should he have let his mask slip to save this Leaf Ninja? He regretted not saving the Leaf Ninja when he heard the Special Jounin had a lover, Yugao Yuzuki. Naruto regretted not doing something to save him just to spare Yugao the heartfelt pain. Maybe he should abandon his mask to preserve as many lives as possible. But he wasn't ready to face the world yet. He assumed he should be at least Kage level before he remove his mask of the fool, but is it worth sacrificing a few lives? That question will forever be burned in Naruto's mind. He promised himself he'll go talk to Yugao after he reached his goal, or when he's ready, whichever is sooner. But he couldn't help but get angry at the Sandaime. Couldn't his Anbu see this action going on? If a genin saw this all go down, then practically all of Anbu should have known. But maybe he should be angry at himself. He swore to himself he'll make it up to Yugao as quickly as possible. But that wasn't the only fight he watched during this month. He watched Osu tire to kill Gaara, but was ultimately killed by him. The fool. He later found out Gaara is a fellow Jinchuriki when he tried to assassinate Lee in the hospital. Unknown to Shikamaru and Gaara, that Naruto clone was just a Kage Bunshin watching over the hospital where Yugao was hospitalized for an attempted suicide. He regretted not doing anything to save Haide, the proctor of the second Chunin exams prelims. Naruto felt like he owed Yugao for not saving her lover when he had the chance. He wanted to make it up to Yugao soon. He lent that one Kage Bunshin to watch over Yugao in hopes that'll make things a little even between them. But he knew it nearly wasn't even close to being close enough. He hoped Yugao would forgive him. But back with Lee, Gaara tried to kill him, and that's when he told Naruto, or rather a clone of him, that he is a fellow Jinchuriki. Only a Jinchuriki would ever suffer a village's hate. Gaara is just like him. Naruto felt happy that there are others like him, but he also felt saddened that his kind had to suffer the same fates. Hated, beaten, spitted on, possibly raped, and so much more danger. He wanted to help his kind. He wanted to save all the Jinchurikis he could save, but he wasn't ready to do so yet. He's not strong enough to help anyone. Then came the finals of the Chunin exams. Naruto felt he was more than ready to become Chunin by this point. Heck, he could possibly give a Jounin a run for their money by now. He was happy his match was the first one. That means he didn't have to wait to pound Neji into the ground. And so their match started. Naruto knew of the Hyuga's style of fighting quite well when he read a scroll about them and the match between the two Hyugas in the prelims. Naruto did his homework and knew that Neji was a close-range Taijutsu fighter who closes off chakra points. But Naruto was good enough in Taijutsu to at least push Neji on the defensive. But he didn't want to. He remembered, through his investigations with his Kage Bunshins, that there was an invasion that was going to happen. It wasn't hard to notice the Sand siblings' behaviors and the Sound Ninja's lack of presence. The Sand siblings were tense all around Konoha, and Naruto knew something was up with them. And the Sound Ninja's disappearance definitely told Naruto something was definitely up. And one of his clones actually caught a glimpse of the legendary Snake Sannin and Kabuto Yakushi together. The clone only acted natural and didn't bother to eavesdrop. He felt angry when he found out Kabuto is a traitor, but he saw use of Orochimaru. With Orochimaru's presence in Konoha, he knew something bad is going to happen, and he's going to use Orochimaru's presence to help in his nice plan. The plan was simple, but that is a story for another time. After beating Neji in the Chunin exams finals, Naruto wanted to cripple Neji as planned, but one of his Kage Bunshins saw a look on Hinata's face. That look told Naruto Hinata was very worried for both of them. Naruto didn't want to cripple Neji to see Hinata in pain, hence why he spared Neji a life of a cripple. After his match, Sasuke should have showed up to fight Gaara. The damn coward even got his match postponed. Of course. Favoritism for the Uchiha. It always happens. Sasuke this, Sasuke that. It's always Sasuke who gets everything Naruto wanted. And it looks like Sasuke didn't even care. Throwing aside his anger, he saw Kankuro giving up his match to Shino. Right then and there, Naruto knew the invasion was true. When Kankuro gave up, that was a sign of him to not want to reveal his jutsus and tools. Naruto easily saw through the ruse. Afterwards, Naruto watched Shikamaru's match against Temari. To say the least, Naruto was greatly impressed by Shikamaru's claims that he was 5 steps ahead. At first, he didn't believe him, but later agreed that it was the Nara in him. And the fact the Nara didn't want to hurt the girl and didn't want to fight in the future matches. Then came Sasuke's match against Gaara. The bastard had to make a grand entrance to make himself look cool. Well, that's not going to help against Naruto, let alone a fellow Jinchuriki. Kakashi was a total fool for teaching Sasuke his signature technique. Even though Sasuke had the elemental advantage over Gaara's sand, lightning chakra takes far higher chakra control than the Uchiha possesses to beat a Jinchuriki. A person can't outlast a Jinchuriki in any normal fight, and lightning chakra eats up a lot of chakra. The amount of chakra necessary to generate a high enough density of lightning is too high with a stamina like Sasuke. Sasuke's match with Gaara was another waste of good time, but Naruto's foresight came true when smoke bombs were unexpectedly triggered in the cage's box. And all around him, feathers started to fall. He knew it was a Jinjutsu, but didn't bother to dispel it. It would have revealed his true skill if he ever shown he can dispel a Jinjutsu. He fell asleep in the middle of a battle, only to awaken when Sakura dispelled the Jinjutsu for him. He saw Sakura trying to dispel the Jinjutsu on Shikamaru, only to find him actually awake. Now Naruto knew that Shikamaru knew how to dispel Jinjutsu that moment. He should have been asleep, but since he was awake the whole time, maybe his sensei, Asuma, actually did teach him how to dispel Jinjutsu. Who knew Shikamaru would actually learn how to? But his quick revelation was quickly squashed when he was unsurprisingly ordered by Kakashi to get Sasuke back. In all honesty, Naruto would have taken the opportunity to kill Sasuke on that mission, but the backlash wasn't worth it. Besides, Gaara might actually do the job for him. And after getting through Kankuro and Temari, Sakura and Naruto found Sasuke within an inch of his life, as Gaara beaten the bloody crap out of him. Naruto, for one, was actually happy Sasuke took a beating for a change. Man, he's getting sadistic. And quite a long fight with Gaara later, Naruto finally beaten him with a bunch of Kage Bunshin, Gamma Bunta, and a little of the Kyuubi's chakra. And some heartfelt words from Naruto got Gaara to change his views on life. Naruto wanted to save Gaara from a life of torment, but he couldn't do anything other than giving a few words of advice. It was the only thing he could do at the moment. But at the same time, his clones was doing something nobody was suspecting. They were stealing jutsu from everyone they could. In secret, of course. When Naruto formed hundreds upon hundreds of clones when he fought with Gaara, tons of them split from the fight to go back to Konoha. There, they began to pillage the village of its secrets by utilizing the Henge no Jutsu to transform into a scroll, ink, and writing utensil. The Kage Bunshins would use the hinged scrolls, ink and brush to copy hundreds and hundreds of techniques from each clan and from the Forbidden Scroll. It was perfectly done. Naruto can hide from Anbu teams at an early age, and it helped to have Orochimaru wreak his village to create a distraction for him. After copying all the techniques he could from all the clans and the Forbidden Scroll, the clones would cover their tracks and return to a rally point for all his clones, his apartment. Using his superior and godlike stealth, the clones written down every single technique they could copy onto a large scroll that equals the Forbidden Scroll in size he stolen from during the invasion. After the clones copied all the techniques down, the Kage Bunshins and the transformed scrolls, ink and brushes all dispelled, thus removed any possible evidence that Naruto committed that act. He was going to learn from that scroll later and become truly stronger with all those techniques. With the powers of all the clans, he'll become unstoppable. Then, he'll be able to help all the people in the world. But first, he needed to pretend to mourn. Naruto lost all love and faith of the old man ever since his failures to protect him. In Naruto's eyes, the old man's word is law, and if not, then he should put down all traitors for the leaf. If the Sandaime can't protect a single child, then the Sandaime isn't very strong in Naruto's eyes. Naruto only ever respected his shinobi skills despite his old age, but that's about it. He held no love nor care about mourning the old man. The only thing that worried him was little Kono. The little guy lost a grandfather, but Naruto could have done something to prevent the Sandaime's death. He knew about the invasion beforehand, but did he warn the Hokage? No, so in theory, Naruto is technically a traitor. But who is the real traitor? The Sandaime or Naruto? Naruto guessed the former for his lies against him. He could have removed his mask for the sake of others, but where would that get him? If he saved the Sandaime, little Kono would probably just give him gratitude. That isn't what Naruto wants. He wants more power. Man, he sounds just like Sasuke. But he wants power to protect what's important to him. That doesn't sound like Sasuke. Naruto was a little worried for little Kono, but eventually he'll bounce back, or at least he should. If Naruto could bounce back after getting beaten all the time, then so should Konohamaru. But the Sandaime dead, Naruto knew there was another Hokage needed. And the opportunity came when Jiraiya told him he was going to look for Tsunade. Naruto left with Jiraiya while they left behind the village. Naruto was so tempted to just ditch Jiraiya and go to wherever he wants, but he would abandon the people he cares about. Naruto decided to find Tsunade as planned, and eventually Jiraiya taught Naruto the Rasengan. What the hell? Why didn't he train him in this technique too during the 1 month of the Chunin exams? The Gama-sanin wasted so much of Naruto's time that month. Naruto could have learned a good 3 jutsus from the library in that time. Bless you Cage Bunchins. But no. Jiraiya had to waste that good month. Naruto didn't like the Gama-sanin at all for wasting his good time. He could match Sasori's dislike of wasted time. While he learned the Rasengan in secret, Naruto made several Cage Bunchins to learn the Rasengan. It didn't take long and by a stroke of luck, a clone of Naruto gotten tired enough to accidentally drop a water balloon and to watch a cat push said water balloon back and forth. That gave the clone the first step is about rotation. After he learned the first stage of the Rasengan, Jiraiya and Naruto made their way to an apartment where Jiraiya apparent had that perverted look in his eye again. And to Naruto's annoyance, the Gama-sanin left to follow a woman who apparently liked him. Didn't Jiraiya see that woman was underage in jutsu? Yeah, Naruto knew the woman was underage in jutsu before Jiraiya did. Naruto was that good, or probably the Sanin thinks with his perverted mind first before his shinobi mind. But the blonde only thought it was some ninja's prank to get the girl in some deep trouble with the Sanin. So he let it slide, but he regretted it when Sasuke's older brother came around to his apartment. Oh crap, he should have told Jiraiya about the Jinjutsu, big time. Itachi. Naruto knew Itachi in his early years. The Akatsuki member was one of the Anbu who would watch over him in his childhood. In all honesty, Naruto loved Itachi for protecting him, as in a big brother figure. Itachi would always divert the mob away with a Jinjutsu, not that Naruto knew that at the time, but Naruto was so very grateful for Itachi's protection. And when he left during the Uchiha massacre, Naruto felt vulnerable. Naruto didn't know why the Uchiha clan massacre started, after all he was only 6, but he knew Itachi had to be innocent. Itachi protected him, and Naruto wanted to bring Itachi home, where he belongs. But he knew he had no chance to ever bring Itachi back home in years. Naruto was hesitant of fighting Itachi. He wasn't afraid of him, and he knew he would die against Itachi, but he couldn't help but feel saddened that he had to fight against someone who protected him. But then the most idiotic human being came around. This human being was so absolutely stupid in Naruto's opinion. This person was so absolutely retarded as to step in the path of an S-ranked criminal. Sasuke came around the corner. The freaking idiot used an assassination jutsu on Itachi on a frontal assault. The moron had absolutely no chance against Itachi, and Naruto knew this so very well. The guy was an Anbu captain when Sasuke and himself graduated from the academy. Sasuke had absolutely no chance whatsoever in such a short time after graduating to even hope of matching the S-ranked ninja. Heck, even if the entire Team 7, without Naruto's mask, can't match Itachi. Naruto was sure of that. Heck, he was even sure having the entire Konoha 12 with their senseis can't beat him. He was that confident in Itachi's skill. Any hope for Naruto having any form of respect for Sasuke went down the drain when he kept trying to fight against Itachi. Didn't he see that it was hopeless to fight against a person who was stronger than yourself? Sasuke's beatdown was so quick and decisive. Sasuke's wails and cries were joy to Naruto's ears. Yeah, Naruto slowly grew sadistic, but his joys were cut short when Jiraiya came around. Naruto was a bit unhappy about that, but hey, Itachi would have came after him a few moments later if he hadn't come around. And a short little display of a summons and kiss him swing later, Itachi fled the scene with a weird jutsu. The result left behind black flames. Naruto didn't know what to make of that, and when Jiraiya told him not to touch it, he knew that black flames is a dangerous thing. Regardless of the mysterious fire, Naruto had one question. Why? Why did Itachi and that blue guy want to capture him? Naruto guessed it was the Kyuubi. All his problems always rooted to the Kyuubi. It always did. Then another strange thing came around, a dynamic entry to Jiraiya's face. Oh yeah. Go Miyato guy. Tell the Jiraiya who's boss. Show the toads the power of youth. After he mentally slapped himself silly with the youth stuff, Naruto always thought Miyato guy is a far better sensei than Kakashi. Naruto spied on his team from time to time and was jealous and envious of Mido's teachings. Mido would never give favoritism of his student, and Naruto wanted that trait in Kakashi, but it wasn't to be. And then Guy told him about Kakashi falling in a coma. Who cares about the copy ninja? All he did was leave him behind for Sasuke. Kakashi could rot in the Shinigami's belly for all Naruto cares. Then Guy whisked a wasted Sasuke away. Good riddance. A good night later, Jiraiya introduced him to the second stage of the Rasengan. It was certainly harder, but his chakra was already powerful. He just needed to keep his mask on to prevent Jiraiya from knowing his true strength. Naruto didn't trust the Gama-sanin to know of his true self. And then they found the next Hokage. In first impressions, Naruto would have ditched the old woman in a heartbeat, but when she insulted the Hokages, Naruto didn't care either. He lost his faith and respect of the Yondaime when he found out the man sealed the Kyuubi inside of him. It sickened him that he had to be used like this. Now he had to suffer through a whole village's hatred because of that man. Why couldn't he put the Kyuubi in someone respected or at least loved like Sasuke? At least the hatred wouldn't be directed at him. At least he'll be left alone. Why him? Why couldn't it be someone else? Naruto exploded by Tsunade's blatant hatred of the village's Hokage. Naruto learned of the slug Sannin when he scrounged up any pieces of info during his first 3 years. It peeved Naruto that Tsunade broke her bonds with her surviving family just because his brother and lover died. Sure, Naruto would have been devastated by the losses too, but Naruto would have confined in the rest of his surviving family. He knew Tsunade had a father figure in the Sandaime, he knew Tsunade had 2 teammates who cared for her, but one turned traitor. Tsunade had lots of people who could have cared for her, but she chose to break every single bond just to avoid getting hurt. Naruto got hurt every day. He would love to have people who actually cared for him, but the old woman threw them all away. And then he learned about the deal about Orochimaru reviving Tsunade's dead ones. It helped to have the skills to hide from Anbu-level ninjas daily, while having the Sannin's guards down for an old-fashioned eavesdrop. It sickened the blonde that the old woman would actually consider the Hebe team's offer. Yeah, Naruto would love to know his parents and possibly have them revived, but it wouldn't be the same. He knew it within his bones that it would be wrong to bring his parents, whoever they are, back to life. Later, after taking yet another beating by a single finger of Tsunade's hand, Naruto had a bet to win. The bet was to finish the Rasengan within a week and so he gets the necklace and so on so forth. Naruto knew he could have gotten Tsunade to use her whole hand to prove her wrong that she needed a finger to beat him, but his mask was important. Again. A week later when he was resting, Shizune stormed into his apartment. She screamed that Tsunade left to go with the deal Orochimaru spun with her. Naruto was about to leave with her, but a kunai from Jiraiya stopped them. He nearly killed Shizune and collapsed. Jiraiya deserved the drug he gotten from the slug Sannin. After a talk between the 3 of them, they left to rescue Tsunade. Naruto wasn't really surprised that Kabuto was wailing on the old woman. It certainly angered Naruto that Kabuto would take advantage of Tsunade's hemophobia, but hey, it's the life of a ninja. Backstabs, shortcuts, and anything dirty is legal in such a profession. Jiraiya leapt to charge at Orochimaru to keep him busy. Naruto was grateful for that. It meant a special Jounin, a Chunin-level ninja, in Naruto's opinion, and a nearly shattered Sannin to take on Kabuto. Naruto saw Kabuto charge at Tsunade and him and Shizune intercepted him. It was the right thing to do. But nearly at the start of the fight, Kabuto managed to knock Shizune out. This caused Naruto to fight Kabuto alone. Naruto was sure he can give Kabuto for a run for his money and die in the cause, but his mask was important to him. He wanted to show the world what the dead last can do. And so, Kabuto started to pummel Naruto, taunted him that he's a no-good ninja. Those words means nothing to him. Those words was one said to him so many times. He knew those words too well, and sure they put him down so freaking many times, but he got back up. He got back up and he will prove that he isn't a loser. He will come out on top. Kabuto then taunted that Sasuke is a much greater ninja than him. What bullcrap. Naruto was going to show the world that Naruto Uzumaki is far better than Sasuke Uchiha. And the Uzumaki clan will crush the Uchihas. It's the divine will of the Uzumakis. He took Kabuto's beatings just like the villagers did. And it didn't hurt very much. The villagers were so much worse. They would use anything in their disposal, Kabuto just used his fists. Kabuto kept taunted him to just give up and die, but he wasn't going down without changing the world. He was going to do something about it. He wasn't going to die without the world know exactly who Naruto Uzumaki is. But then he heard Tsunade's screams. She pleaded and begged him to just run and save himself. He heard her wails to abandon everyone here and let Kabuto and Orochimaru kill Jiraiya, Shizune, and herself. He saw something in Tsunade's eyes that pleaded him to do this. He saw that she wanted Naruto to live. To live that feeling, a woman who wants him to live and let her die. He didn't know it, but that is a maternal feeling. Naruto wasn't going to back down and let anyone die. He remembered letting Haku die when he had the chance of stopping him. He remembered letting Hei die when he had the chance of saving him. The Anbu was just a call away. There was no way he was going to let another person die when he can do something about it. He let his mask slip. Just this once he's going to save someone and no one is going to stop him. Kabuto charged at him with a kunai knife. He saw him coming. Tsunade screeched for him to run, to flee, to get away from it all. Not a chance. Kabuto thrusted his kunai. He hoped Naruto would die. Naruto caught the kunai in his left hand, he felt the heat of blood drip down his hand. He formed a cage bunshin with a single seal with his other hand. Buffet clone formed right next to him. With his right hand, a Rasengan was born, but he added a little extra something in it. What he did gave his Rasengan a red spark, and that spark diffused itself along the entire Rasengan. and he slammed the Rasengan into Kabuto's chest while he roared out. Rasengan. Kabuto flew back and slammed into a rock, but he didn't go down. Good. Then Kabuto went down by chakra exhaustion. Better. But suddenly Naruto went down with him. Bad. What happened? Everything went according to plan, and suddenly Naruto found himself on the ground. He woke up to see himself in a hospital. What exactly happened? He found out by a talk with Tsunade. Naruto was really grateful for the save of his life. And after he bugged Tsunade when he claimed she was not worth enough to be Hokage, they left for Konoha. Secretly, Naruto felt something from Tsunade. Could it be? He didn't know. But Tsunade just had to go to a hot spring right after all that business. Naruto wanted to go back to Konoha to start his training, but nope. Tsunade practically whined to go to the hot springs to relax. Then another weird group of people came around. Two ninjas by the name Senta and Bunzo Akagi. Naruto felt his heart cry out for those two when he is told they can't return home if they can't retrieve the debt Tsunade owes. Okay, Tsunade's debts were seriously overwhelming and annoying to him and to other people. But Naruto didn't really care. He only helped those two because it was the right thing to do. Curse his hero's complex. But something came out of that little adventure. Loyalty. He noticed how kind and nice Shizune is. She hinged herself as her master to help deal with this problem. Shizune definitely didn't hold any sort of animosity towards him, and he liked that. It warmed his heart that Shizune would take such a risk to protect her master. He always wanted to be in Tsunade's position, just to feel what it feels to have someone protecting you to keep Naruto safe. But he has no one that was willing to help him. And then they returned to Konoha where she was immediately inaugurated and all that political stuff. And then she lied about his parents. He knew she had to know his parents, or maybe not. He wasn't sure anymore. He remembered the names he read on that paper he read all those years ago. Minato team. The bastard who ruined his life. He was never given the chance of a normal life. He was somewhat unhappy he died during the Kyuubi attack. It meant he never got the chance to give Minato a rightful beating. Kushina Uzumaki. Uzumaki she's family in some way. But what? Naruto didn't know. He didn't even have a picture of her. He only had names to go off of, and he wondered if Kushina was even alive. Naruto found out she ended up marrying Minato. That made him a bit upset. Disappointed. A bit angered. Naruto decided to just see Kushina as Kushina and not as Minato team's wife. But if she supports Minato team then the gloves are off. She will be named Kushina team in his eyes. What the fuck? Naruto should have been Tsunade was lost for words as Shizune held her tears. Tsunade-sama, what's this? Shizune asked and indicated a certain piece of the folder that was leaning out a bit further than the others. Tsunade pulled the paper out and stopped her tears when she saw who it was addressed to. Dear the Goddamn Hokage. If you are reading this, be wary of who is with you in the room. This letter's purpose is to tell you the dangers of being in this seat. Behind your back is the Civilian Council and the Honorable Council, whom are responsible for dozens of actions across the elemental nations. The head of these councils is Danzo, who staged the assassinations and sabotage of dozens of missions of various villages including our own. I know this letter will, or should reach, the Goddamn Hokage. The enigma that is Naruto-kun Uzumaki will draw the Goddamn to gather this record of him for the sake of answers. However, before I go to such a dangerous topic that is named Danzo, let me address the subject of one Naruto Uzumaki, or rather Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. To my and the village's shame, we have shamed the name of our hero, my successor, and your predecessor, Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. The villagers have spat upon his sacrifice and disobeyed his last request by shunning the son of our hero. Naruto has lived a life that would destroy the sanity of any man including myself. Naruto-kun poor Naruto-kun's been beaten, shunned, spitted on, given poor quality food in such ridiculous prices, and lived without parents to love or care for him. I must ask to whoever is the Goddamn Hokage to protect this boy who deserved none of this with your life. I failed to do this because of my old age and because of the council. The reason why I ask you to protect this child. Because Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko. There are people who want what's inside of him and I'm afraid Danzo is one of them. He continuously hounded me for the right to train Naruto-kun, but I knew better. He was lying because of his root program. Jiraiya had discovered his root forces from the outside and warned me of this, bless his perverted soul. I wish I could kill Danzo, but he holds too much influence and if he were to suddenly die, chaos would result in his death and I fear I can't stop it. Danzo's root program is basically a program where ninjas are harshly trained to never feel emotion. Such a life cannot survive in this world and Danzo is a fool for not understanding that. But the shame belongs to me. I had ordered the root program faulty and thus disbanded, however, Jiraiya told me Danzo still has his root shinobi. I should warn you Danzo's root shinobi are completely emotionless and they will not hesitate to kill their target without a second thought. These kinds of shinobi are not human or worthy of the title shinobi. Over the course of his life, Danzo had asked me dozens of times if he could train Naruto-kun. I cannot allow Naruto-kun that kind of life. He already suffered so much in his young life, and to fully remove his emotion would be a great dishonor to our great Yondaime Hokage. I simply must beg to whoever is reading this to protect young Naruto-kun. If not for Hiruzen Sarutobi, then do it for the Sandaime Hokage, then do it for the Shodai Hokage, then do it for the Nidaime Hokage, then do it for our greatest Hokage yet. The Yondaime Hokage. We all owe it to the Yondaime to preserve his legacy, who is related to 3 of the Hokages. Naruto-kun is related to the Shodai Hokage via his great-grandfather. Naruto-kun is related to the Nidaime Hokage via his great-grand-uncle. Naruto-kun is the Yondaime's very own son. We owe it to the Shodai, Nidaime, and the Yondaime to preserve their legacy. For an unknown amount of time, Danzo has sabotaged dozens of missions and has prevented a many great deal of things which I would want to prevent. Danzo passed a law for the academy. This law states every student has to perform the 3 basic ninjutsu. I knew the main point of this was to sabotage Naruto-kun's efforts of passing the genin exams in order to get Naruto in his grasp, but to my surprise, Naruto was given a headband from Iruka after the Mizuki incident. The Mizuki incident truly has brought hope in my old heart. Naruto-kun beaten a Chunin by using a kinjutsu known as the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. With this technique, he overwhelmed Mizuki, a Chunin might I add, and beaten him in a bloody pulp. I was greatly overjoyed when Iruka given Naruto-kun his headband. I repaid Iruka's kindness by secretly raising his salary. He probably noticed his increase in money by now, but it matters not. That day gave me hope, and unknown to Iruka, he bested Danzo that day. He bested somebody who sabotaged the lives of many people, including my students' lives. Iruka beaten Danzo by allowing Naruto-kun to become a ninja and thus a ninja under my control. As long as Naruto-kun's a ninja under the Hokage's rule, he will be safe. Now what I meant by the sabotage of my students' lives is the sabotage of Jiraiya's spy networks. Danzo searched high and low to sabotage anyone who gotten in his way, and Danzo seems to see Jiraiya's spy network as a threat. In secret, Danzo attempted to convert Jiraiya's spy network, only to fail when Jiraiya himself came around and threatened Danzo to stop. I told Jiraiya not to kill him, and thank Kami he did. It would have caused a lot of trouble. If Danzo ever died, it would cause a power vacuum, and war would become a possibility. I cannot stop a war, but perhaps you, the Godame, can. Danzo never really tried to do anything with Orochimaru, but it is likely Orochimaru and Danzo made deals behind my back. No wait, I assume they performed dealings behind my back. Both my former student and teammate will already have done dealings behind my back. I am sure of it because of Danzo's right eye and arm. I cannot frisk him because he's such a high-standing figure. It would only bring my end if I attempt to bring Danzo into question. Koharu and Homura will be sure of that. Then came Tsunade. She never deserved any of Danzo's dealings. What I mean is the day Dan, Shizun's uncle, died. Dan's been poisoned before he left for his mission with my student Tsunade. I only noticed it afterwards when I discovered Danzo was doing one of his evil deeds behind my back, but like before, my hands tied by the council. This poison isn't like any other. Whenever the afflicted person is under the effects of a medical technique, the victim's body would reverse the effects. Instead of healing, the victim was dying. So when Tsunade tried to heal him, it's needless to say anything further. Tsunade and Shizune didn't even bother to read the rest of the letter. Angel filled their minds as they read the letter Sarutobi gave them. That bastard. Tsunade snarled and grinded her teeth. Hot tears already started to fall as she remembered the day Dan died, but grief filled her soul because she discovered that she wasn't such a great medic after all. If Dan really got poisoned that day, she would have noticed, right? Today, she wasn't so sure. How could he? Shizune demanded angrily. Dan was the only person who cared for her ever since she was orphaned. Shizune, I'm so sorry. Dan's death was all my fault. I should have known about the poison in Dan's system that day, but I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. Tsunade apologized as hot tears fell from her eyes. Shizune turned to Tsunade with a look of pain etched on her face. Tsunade. Shizune said without the sama suffix. Without the sama suffix, Tsunade assumed the worst and believed Shizune will blame her for her uncle's death. Tsunade saw Shizune raise her fist as if to strike her. Tsunade closed her eyes, awaiting for the pain of failing her apprentice, but to her confusion she didn't feel pain. Instead, she felt warmth, comfort even. It's not your fault, Tsunade-sama. Danzo, that bastard's responsible for his death. Shizune assured and hugged her sensei. Shizune, Tsunade said calmly and opened her amber eyes. Shizune stared to detect a growing killer intent brewing within Tsunade. Call the Civilian Council and the Honorable Council. It's time we end this now. At once and with pleasure, Tsunade-sama. Shizune nodded and stomped away with hot tears welling in her eyes. Danzo, you're as good as dead. We will assure your death soon enough. Shizune and Tsunade thought in anger. Tsunade noticed there was more to the letter and decided to finish it, and what she saw made her gasp. The civilian council and the honorable council sat agitatedly on their chairs after being called by the Hokage's assistant. There was 9 of them in all, enough to overrule the shinobi council, which consisted of 6. Tsunade discovered as the Hokage, her vote counts as 2, however, the civilians can still overrule the shinobi, even if the shinobi council unites with the Hokage. It would still turn out a 9-8 vote with the civilians as the 9. The members of the civilian councils consists of 6 people, one being notable as her pink hair, Sakuko Haruno. The rest of the 5 are for Danzo's uses for overthrowing the Hokage and the shinobi's rule. The honorable council is made up of Danzo Shimura, Himura Midokado, and Kaharu Utatine. All 9, together, can overthrow any movements of politics or shinobi matters into civilian matters. Why the hell are we here? Sakuko demanded or rather screeched. She wore a red long-sleeve kimono and pink pants. Her hair is pink much like her daughter's, and her voice is screechy after screeching for Danzo for so many years. Tsunade has called for a meeting Sakuko. We will find out what she asked of us soon enough. Himura assured calmly. Whatever it is I hope it's short. We all know Tsunade will probably demand a casino or a bigger bar. Kaharu chuckled lightly. Others joined in while thinking about what they could do next. Silence Kaharu. Tsunade wouldn't call us here if it wasn't important. Danzo said and cleared his throat, but we have a new challenge. Tsunade is young, unlike Hiruzen, and she isn't going to get manipulated so easily. We will have to proceed with caution. After he finished, the door burst open with Tsunade's legs still extended from kicking it. Tsunade entered the room with Shizune and glared at each of the civilians. Nice to make a grand entrance, Tsunade. Sakuko remarked. It's Hokage-sama to you. Tsunade snapped and sat on her chair. Now let's get to the point. Why are you people sabotaging Naruto's life? Instantly the room turned cold and raged voices shouted from each person. How dare you Tsunade? That demon brat doesn't deserve any mentioning in this room. That demon brat must die. That monster must die for killing my child. Your predecessor would want that brat to die. Danzo calmly watched as he let the dogs of his politics hound Tsunade. He watched as Tsunade's pent-up anger rose. Enough. That so-called demon brat done so much me. He saved my life. He saved the life of your Hokage. You damn people should have been grateful for the sacrifices he makes for you stupid and arrogant people. Every day he keeps the Kyuubi at bay and saving your worthless hides. Every day, he goes through the same thing and suffers beating after beating, and worse of all it's not even his fault. It's the fault of your damn lives. Every day he bears through your pointless hatred. You should have been praising the grounds of his feet because of what he did for you. He might not hate you people, but I do. This ends today. Shizune. Anbu. Restrain these bastards. Tsunade roared and leapt for Danzo. Shizune threw senbon needles at the other 8 with extreme accuracy, paralyzing them by impaling their necks. The Anbu actually hesitated on following her command, but another roar got them started. Anbu. Restrain all these traitors of the leaf. Tsunade charged at Danzo at breakneck speed and threw a chakra-enhanced punch straight for Danzo's head. Danzo never expected Tsunade to react violently and so, splat. Danzo's head collided with the wall and exploded between the force of Tsunade's fist and the wall. That was for Dan, you sick bastard. Tsunade spat and turned to the other 8 who had horror etched on their faces. Tsunade saw them with a senbon needle in their necks. They would have laid on the floor paralyzed if it wasn't for the Anbu holding their hair. Suit Tsunade. Why you can't do that, Kaharu protested weakly. Oh shut the hell you damn bitch. Tsunade spat and glared. Do you know what happened to Dan when he died? Kaharu couldn't stop the tears flowing from her eyes as she began to wet herself because of the overwhelming killer intent that flew in the room. She noticed it wasn't just her that was sending the killer intent and saw Shizune having this dangerous look in her eyes. Kaharu knew she was either going to be punished for her folly or die. Like her fellow councilwoman, Sakuko Haruno can only stare in absolute horror of what she just witnessed. Seeing Danzo's head splat against the wall wanted her to puke up her afternoon lunch, but couldn't due to the senbon in her neck. It also wasn't helping that there was an extremely large killer intent directed at her and her fellow councilman. Amura didn't feel the need to vomit because of his former ninja training, but seeing Tsunade splattering Danzo's head on the wall was a gruesome sight, even to his standards. The other 5 civilian councilmen and women all trembled in fear as Tsunade leaked out a vicious amount of killer intent. I don't know Tsunade, Kaharu started, but Tsunade snarled at her. I am Hokage-sama to you wench. Tsunade backhanded Kaharu with chakra in her hand. The blow left a black bruise mark on her cheek. Now do any of you know of Danzo's dealings behind my sensei's back? The goddamn Hokage demanded. Why yes. Kaharu admitted while being petrified by fear. Danzo purposely sabotaged Naruto-sen's life. Kaharu didn't think it was smart to call Naruto the demon brat in her current situation because Danzo could make Konoha the greatest village in the nations if he could get the chance to train him. Yet you guys didn't think things through, did ya? Konoha is already the strongest village. Isn't that enough for you sick bastards? Even if Danzo completed his quest for domination, that would only lead to another problem. Danzo's idealism of peace through war is a waste of time. There would only be another revolutionary, and if Danzo kills the poor guy, that person will become a martyr. Then it'll be a pointless cycle of death and decay. But I'm done talking about this pointless idealism. I want answers as to why Danzo poisoned Dan. Tsunade demanded. Amura cleared his throat, which brought Tsunade's attention. I'll answer that, Hokage-sama. Danzo saw you as a threat to his plans. So he poisoned Dan-san to rid of you from Konoha. He knew after the death of Nawaki-sama and Dan-san, you would come to hate the village and leave. This village reminds you too much of what you lost, and Danzo took advantage of that. Hamura explained. There was a few tremors in his voice, but Tsunade didn't care. Tsunade turned to Sakuko, who wanted to fidget under her terrifying gaze. And you, Sakuko Haruno? What should I do with you? Tsunade cupped her own chin and thought about it. They'll let me go? Sakuko asked timidly and in hopes Tsunade would free her. Kill them. Tsunade ordered, much to the civilians' cries and pleas for forgiveness. Wait. I have a daughter. Let me live. Please. Let me live for her. If you kill me, my poor baby Sakura-chan will get orphaned. Sakuko pleaded desperately. The Anbu was about to kill her if it wasn't for Tsunade. Stop. Tsunade ordered, and the Anbu who nearly killed Sakuko with a kunai. Do you know how much of a hypocrite you are? Naruto-kun was an orphan since birth. I think Sakura can't survive a life without parents. Tsunade said coldly. Wait, please Tsunade-sama. Let me live. I'll live a life of disgrace if you spare me. Sakuko pleaded desperately. Why yeah, please, let us live. Another civilian pleaded. You people make me sick. First you pick on a little child, and here you are pleading for mercy. Second, you all go behind the back of your Hokages. There is a reason why Konoha stood higher than all the other villages, and the cause isn't the dark dealings from behind your back. You're all a disgrace to Konoha. I hereby sentence all of you to death for the mistreatment of the Yondame's son, disobeyed a last request of the Yondame's wishes, and following the traitor Danzo. Tsunade claims. The civilians stunned after hearing Naruto is the Yondame's son. The Kyuubi brat's the Yondame's son, impossible. A civilian screeched only to get slapped by Shizune. Yes. Naruto-kun's the Yondame's child. Shizune claims, much to the civilians' growing fears. Naruto-san cannot be the Yondame's child. Sakuko shouted. He's Naruto-sama to you. Naruto-kun looks just like his father. You'd got to have no eyes to not see the resemblance to his father. Shizune shouted and punched Sakuko in the face. If we had known Naruto-sama was the Yondame's son, Sakuko said in an attempt to form an excuse. You're just making up excuses. There is nothing that excuses you to beat up a child. Shizune shouted and held her great urge to kill this woman. You're all monsters for beating up Naruto-kun. Shizune raised her hand and held a senbon needle. She was about to plunge that senbon into this woman's skull if it wasn't for Tsunade. Shizune, stop. Tsunade roared. But Tsunade-sama. Shizune protested. Don't worry Shizune, you'll have your chance. Tsunade assured and turned to the civilians. Where's Danzo's root base? Tsunade demanded. She thought she could get all the information on Danzo if he ever recorded information at his base. The Anbu began to whisper amongst themselves. Root? One Anbu wondered, however, one of the Anbu recognized the name. Root Hokage-sama. When did you know of this? The second Anbu asked. Root's destruction was an order from the Sandame to shut down. How is it still operational? Danzo lied and betrayed the Sandame. And these fools blindly followed him. Danzo's root program was operational even after the Sandame's demand. Danzo is a traitor no matter how you put it. The one-eyed fool was taking potential shinobi for his root program. Tsunade claimed. So Danzo was siphoning our numbers for his own uses. That traitor. Hokage-sama. How did you find out? Another Anbu snarled and glared at the dead and somewhat headless body of Danzo. Enough. I found out through Jiraiya. Tsunade shouted to her Anbu and glared at the civilians. Where is his base? Tsunade demanded while putting emphasis on each word. Will you let us go? A civilian weakly bargained. No. Tell me, or do I have to send for Ibiki to play in your minds? Tsunade threatened. All the civilians paled, even Kaharu and Hamura paled into a sheet of white. It's at the outskirts of Konoha. Now please let me live. Sakuko broke down and sobbed to herself. Tsunade bent down to her level and whispered in her ear. Not a chance. Sakuko felt a tremor of fear and watched as Tsunade gave the order, Shizune, kill them. Shizune got this glint in her eyes and her mouth grew into a sinister grin, with pleasure. Wait, Hokage-sama. You can't do this. Kaharu protested. Shizune was about to kill her when Tsunade held her hand up. Tsunade glared at her and sneered. I am the Hokage. My word is law. And I say the civilian council is disbanded and executed as traitors. Tsunade decreed and walked out of the room. Without anything impeding her, Shizune began her reign of terror. Tsunade returned to her office after washing her hands clean of Danzo's blood. She felt satisfied after killing the bastard who poisoned her love life. She glanced at the piece of paper that started this business. She sighed and remembered what it finished with. So when she tried to heal him, it's needless to say anything further. Tsunade, I wished I could do more, but all I have is a suggestion that will cure your problems. If you are not Tsunade, then could you be so kind as to tell Tsunade to adopt Naruto as her son? I know, through Naruto's bright attitude and determination, he'll be good for her. He will fix all her problems in time. I wished I could tell her this in person, but she left before Naruto was born. From the Sandame Hokage, here is in Sarutobi, the professor, sensei of the Sannin, a father, a grandfather, and a failure. Tsunade sat there, absorbing what she just read. She definitely considered the option of adopting Naruto. If Naruto fixed so many of her problems in such a short time, perhaps Naruto can do more. She's willing to bet Naruto would love to get adopted and she could finally learn to live a life of a parent. Yet Tsunade can't see a future with Naruto as a son. Perhaps, Shizune could even be a sister figure. Yeah, having Naruto in her daily life is a good idea. Shizune, are you done yet? Tsunade asked loudly. She waited for a while until Shizune came back with her breathing labor. Tsunade saw Shizune have a few streaks of blood on her cloths, but what broke Tsunade's heart was the tears falling from Shizune's eyes. Come here, Shizune. Tsunade beckoned Shizune over and hugged her tightly. Tsunade-sama. Shizune cried on Tsunade's shoulder. It's okay, Shizune. Let it out. Tsunade cooed and cupped her chin and forced Shizune to look into her eyes. Shizune, I got the perfect plan for us to recover with, okay? Tsunade assured. Shizune nodded in her sensei's arms. What's the plan? Shizune asked and Tsunade gave a soft smile. You'll see tomorrow. Tsunade assured. After the sun set and rose back up, Tsunade and Shizune are back in the office. Both cleaned themselves up after their little incident from yesterday and ready to encounter the day after their mess with the civilian council. So the plan? Tsunade-sama. Shizune asked. Just wait. Tsunade smiled. Suddenly a knock brought their attention to the door and abruptly Naruto walked in with a grin on his face. Hey Ba-chan. I'm here to say Sakura-chan's not feeling very good and I'm here for a mission. Naruto announced. Shizune and Tsunade had this gloomy look when Sakura's mentioned. Shizune did feel a little guilt when she killed Sakura's mother, but the woman deserved it. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I have to decline your request for a mission. Tsunade denied and instantly Naruto exploded. What did I do? I swear I didn't do anything, I didn't play a prank in months, and I swear I didn't peep on the women's side of the spa. Naruto confessed and collapsed on his elbows on Tsunade's desk. Tsunade only smiled softly by her future son's reaction. Naruto. I want to ask you a very important question and I want you to answer in honesty. Got that? Tsunade informed. Naruto nodded but was clueless as to where this was going. There is a person who wanted. Tsunade smirked as she drawn this out. Want to what, Ba-chan? Naruto asked curiously. The old lady comment had no effect as Tsunade smirked by her future son. Soon that Ba-chan will turn into a Ka-chan. Who wants to adopt you? Tsunade informed softly as Naruto froze. Shizune gasped and wondered who would want to adopt him. Naruto blinked away, the tears forming in his eyes. Who? Naruto asked in hope. The news of somebody wants him and a part of their life shocked him beyond belief. Never in his life had anyone spared him a glance in the orphanage, and to have a person who wishes to adopt him, it's needless to say Naruto's quite happy with the news. This person wants to adopt you because of the changes you made to her life. Tsunade said. Her mother, Naruto noted. Shizune gasped as she got the memo. You saved her life in more ways than one. You saved her will of fire, you saved her from a phobia, and best of all, Tsunade dramatically paused again, much to Naruto's irritation. The Ba-chan. Who? Naruto demanded. You saved her from Akage's worst enemy. Tsunade finished, much to Naruto's stunned reaction. Naruto stood there, his mouth gaped wide open as he remembered what happened yesterday. Why you? Naruto stood there, shocked of what he discovered. Here is his Hokage wanting to adopt him. Yes, Naruto-kun, or should I say Sachi? Tsunade asked with a warm smile. Silence, total silence surrounded the room as Naruto stood there with his mouth gaping wide open. Well? Aren't you gonna say any? Tsunade didn't get to finish what she was saying as Naruto crashed into her in a bone-crushing huge. I have Ka-chan. Me. A Ka-chan. Naruto cried incoherently as he hugged Tsunade tightly as if she was his lifeline. Shizune smiled softly by the side of the two and couldn't help but feel a little jealous. And Shizune can become your sister. Tsunade said, which stunned both Naruto and Shizune. Any emotional defenses Naruto had in his childhood effortlessly shattered by the fact he's receiving a mother and a sister. He always wanted a family and now he got one. I have a Ni-chan. A real Ni-chan. Naruto cried and hugged Shizune. That Tauto. Shizune returned Naruto's hug and turned to Tsunade. You planned this, didn't you? Her answer was a nod and a smile. Now all we have to do is sign this paper. Tsunade said and pulled out a piece of paper and signed her name. Now your turn, Shizune. Tsunade said and Shizune quickly wrote her name on the paper. Now your turn, Naruto, Tsunade said softly and turned the paper over. Naruto trembled as he stood over the paper. If he signs it, he finally gets a mother and a sister like he always wanted. He signed the paper. Naruto Uzumaki. Right after signing the paper, a Chunin burst open the door screaming, Hokage-sama. Minato-sama, Kushina-sama and Naruko-sama are on their way. The cloneful chapter, Kyuubi's move, action in the hospital, crushes, and clash between families. Hokage-sama. Minato-sama, Kushina-sama and Naruko-sama are on their way. A leaf Chunin blurted out while bursting through the door. The three senjus gone stiff by that announcement. The room went so cold that very moment and the leaf Chunin suddenly felt so insignificant but couldn't help but feel glee that the Yondaime is alive. How'd he live? He didn't know, but who cares? The Yondaime's a freaking hero. When are they going to arrive? Tsunade asked with no emotion in her voice. In a few hours. The Chunin blurted, unaware of the growing danger. Tsunade had her eyes shadowed by her downcast look. Chunin-san, get out of my office. Her order was slow and dangerous, but the Chunin was a bit too cheerful about what he said and didn't bother to notice Tsunade's dangerous tone. He obeyed nearly the moment the last word was sent, but before he left he sent a death glare at Naruto's back. The look could have said, "Your time is running short, Kyuubi brat." After the Chunin left, the room turned so very cold. Tsunade and Shizune turned to their new Sachi Ataudo in worry, seeing a shocked and surprised face. "Sachi-kun?" Tsunade asked worriedly while having some thoughts. "How is Minato and Kushina alive?" Sarutobi-sensei's report on that day was detailed down to the last swipe of the Kyuubi's tail. Kushina and Minato died that day. Sarutobi-sensei proved it by examining the bodies afterwards. They clearly died and their medical records matches their bodies. Their DNA, their blood type, everything. Even Jiraiya came by and checked that there weren't any seals or tricks of some kind. Heck, how did Minato survive the Haki no Shiki Fuin? Ugh. Too many questions. Tsunade paled beyond even that to Orochimaru's skin. Okami, no, since they're here I might lose Naruto-kun. No. Not after he became my son. Not so soon. Tsunade kept a strong front to not worry her new son. Tsunade didn't want to lose her new son so soon, let alone ever. It also didn't help that she lied to him about keeping the identity of his parents from him when they're on their way. She had so many reasons not to, which mostly involves his father's enemies. His parents were, or rather are, powerful people, and thus, they have numerous and powerful opponents. Apparently a lot of people can't help but get revenge on the Yondaime and his family, even though it was just the Yondaime that did the deeds. It just wasn't fair for his kid. Aw crap, this is bad. I lied to my Sachi-kun and now he's going to be taken from me. I don't want to lose him. Tsunade inwardly panicked and tensed. Yesterday, she lied to Naruto about the identity of his parents. If he finds out she lied to him about his parents and he ends up meeting them, worst case scenario. Naruto will leave and never wish to see Tsunade again. She cannot allow that. Ataudo? Shizune said worriedly. How's Minato-sa? No. Minato team still alive? He abandoned Naruto-kun to the horrors of this village. And where was Kushina-sam? No. Kushina team arg. Weren't both of them dead? If they were alive this whole time, then where did they go? Shizune thought in sheer horror of what Naruto had to go through. She wanted to break down and cry over the fact Minato and Kushina pretty much abandoned their child to the hatred of the village. And Naruto-kun has a sibling. Since when? Shizune questioned. She had countless questions flowing through her mind right about now. It was no surprise when the Kyuubi killed them and everyone claimed they died. She's shocked that they're still alive. And she wondered how the heck Naruto's sibling came into play. While Shizune and Tsunade held their strong fronts despite what occurred, Naruto was in complete shock and surprise. Minato team, how is he alive? The Kyuubi killed him, right? And Kushina died that day too, right? Ugh. This is confusing. I want to beat up Minato team for this, but Kushina is alive. She's family in some way and she's alive. I can't help but feel okay about that. Naruto was completely dumbfounded by this revelation. He really had no clue as to how to react. Was he supposed to react happy? Sad? Or what? He wanted to beat up Minato for giving the Kyuubi burden to him, but he couldn't help but feel happy and hopeful to meet a family member after so long. But quickly, his mask shot back up. Okami-sama, do you know what this means? Kachan Yondaime-sama's alive. My hero's alive. Kachan. Who knows? Maybe I can get his autograph, Naruto shouted with a huge grin. If only if that grin was real. Tsunade and Shizune smiled lightly, they couldn't help but feel happy for their new Sachi Ataudo. Curse their familial happiness for their Sachi Ataudo for their inability to read real emotions when it is needed. At least Naruto-kun's happy. Shizune and Tsunade thought happily, but frowned. But we lied to him. If he finds out the truth he'll leave us. Hey, Kachan. Can I go to the Senju compound? Naruto asked excitedly. A smile graced Tsunade's face as she realized Naruto is now Senju. Sure, Sachi-kun, here's the keys to the Senju compound. Tsunade tossed Naruto a single key, which he easily caught. Thanks Kachan. Naruto thanked. He was about to take off, but Tsunade stopped him. Oh, and Naruto. Me and Shizune are going to talk with the Yondaime in a few hours. I want you to be back here before they arrive, okay? Tsunade told, getting Naruto to nod furiously. And Kachan. Naruto smiled warmly. Yes. Tsunade said. Can you help a friend of mine named Rock Lee? He's in the hospital right about now and I'm willing to bet he would love to get off that hospital bed. You know plenty of ninjas don't like the hospital. Naruto reminded. Smiling and without hesitation, Tsunade nodded and formed a Kage Bunshin. Go check up on Lee's diagnostics and see what you can do. Tsunade ordered. The Tsunade clone nodded before vanishing via Shunshin no Jutsu. Ahahaha, using Kage Bunshins to do your work for you Kachan. Wow, you're taking my Kage Bunshin tips seriously. Naruto said. You're the one who taught me that trick Sachi-kun. Tsunade remarked warmly. Maybe I should use that trick too. Shizune thought devilishly then turned serious. Thanks, Kachan. Naruto thanked and left quickly. The moment he left, the room turned cold and Tsunade and Shizune couldn't help but feel angry over the fact Minato and Kushina pretty much abandoned their son. Tsunade-sama. How's Minato and Kushina alive? Didn't they die 13 years ago? Shizune questioned. She looked at Tsunade who kept staring at the door where Naruto left through with a sad expression. Shizune, I lied to Naruto-kun. Tsunade admitted in horror of what she did. Shizune snapped her attention to this and gasped in absolute horror. Oh Okami-sama, you don't mean that lie about his parents from yesterday, right? Shizune asked worriedly in fear. To her growing fear and horror, Tsunade nodded fearfully. Okami-sama, save our family. Shizune whispered. She didn't want Naruto to hate them after lying to him. Not after they just became a family. The horror of what happened yesterday shocked Shizune and caused her to break into tears. Tsunade-sama. What are we going to do? I don't want to lose my Itato. Shizune cried and clutched onto Tsunade. The blonde woman didn't know what to do except to comfort Shizune. I don't know Shizune, I'm Yusume, but I'm going to fight for my Sachi. That I promise you. Tsunade promised with fire in her eyes. A family was always a desire for the slug Sannin, and now that she has one, and she isn't going to let Naruto go. Shizune. Here's what we're going to do. Naruto sprinted off to his apartment. He wasn't going to the Senju compound, not yet at least. Damn. I almost lost my cool back there. If Tsunade and Shizune found me angry by the Yondaime's name, then they'll suspect something. I don't want to lose them because of my mask. Naruto panicked and leapt onto a rooftop to pick up the pace. Tsunade's sudden offer to adopt him shocked him beyond belief. No one has ever wanted to adopt him before, and this was a huge first for him. What he carried always turned away what could have been a parent. They seemed so genuine unlike the villagers, and it's true I save her from Kabuto team and every Kage's nightmare. I don't know why Tsunade of all people wants me to become her son, but it seems so unreal. Naruto thought with some hope. The sudden offer of becoming the Hokage's son offered him a great deal of options and protection. But that wasn't the only reason why he accepted. But Tsunade and Shizune don't know the real me. The Baka version of me would have accepted her offer instantly without a second thought. Naruto thought sadly. He wasn't stupid when it came to family. He watched others with their happy families in envy and jealously, and he knew that family trusts, or at least should, each other unconditionally. But his acceptance of their offer was a choice of his mask. But if they find out the real him, will they still want him? He doubted it, but his adoptive family is different. But they seem to really want me this time around, but they don't know the real me. Naruto noted and set his eyes towards his apartment. There was a huge part of him that wants this family to be real and just play the baka like he acted forever to bask in Tsunade's love. Love, I don't even know what that feels like, Naruto thought sadly, and hoped this adoptive family is real. But he had other matters to attend to. I gotta get home and quick. I can't let anyone know I have all the techniques in the village. If I do then I'm pretty much dead. Naruto realized and put a stern look on his face. During Orochimaru's invasion, he stole or copied nearly every clan's and the Forbidden Scrolls techniques. If anyone finds out about that, Naruto doesn't even want to know what'll happen if that scenario comes true. He ran through Konoha's rooftops in a hurry. After realizing the man who ruined his life is still alive, Naruto nearly lost control of himself in the Hokage's office. He was absolutely stunned to find out the Yondaime had a family, but completely ruined his life. Why? Why him? Did Minato team steal him from his parents' crib when he was born? Did Minato kill his parents just to seal the Kyuubi inside him? Ugh. Naruto didn't know what to believe. His mind was completely filled with questions that he wants answers for. Who are his parents? Did they love him? Did they give him up to the Yondaime so he could be the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi? Is what the Sandame said was true? Did his parents die by the Kyuubi and the Yondaime found him and happened to use him for his cursed act? How did the Yondaime survive? Everyone said he died during the Kyuubi attack and so did his wife. But they had a kid and they are coming here. How dare he? How dare he have a family when he royally screwed his over? Didn't he know what was going on during his life? Did he even care about sacrificing him when Naruto had no say in it? But Naruto felt his anger leaving him when he found another train of thought. Naruto thought out the name in his head. Why does that name only have one letter off from mine? Naruto was confused by that name. It was only one letter off his and he had a crazy assumption. Is Naruto my twin? Naruto thought. It was an insane thought and he had nothing to go on other than the name. He never even knew what Kushina or this Naruto looked like. It wasn't uncommon to have twins with similar names, like the Hyuga clan leader's Hiashi, whose twin was named Hisashi. Tears began to form in Naruto's eyes. He hadn't shed a real tear ever since he realized Hate had a lover, Yugao. He regretted not saving Hate that day and he cried over the fact he caused someone else deep pain. Did Minato not feel what he felt when Naruto practically sacrificed Hate to preserve his mask? Then he should feel guilty over the fact Minato sacrificed Naruto. He finally reached his apartment and walked into his bedroom with his shoulders slumping in defeat. He formed a few cage buncheons and moved the bed to the side. Underneath the bed is a thin piece of ninja wire that leads the corner of the room, tied around a very small hole in the floorboard. He gave a tug on the ninja wire and the wooden floorboard was pulled with it. Naruto then pulled out more of the floorboards out by using the first floorboard's empty space as leverage. After removing a few of them, Naruto pulled out a large scroll that matches the size of the forbidden scroll. I gotta bury this thing. But where? Naruto knew and gulped to himself. Unexpectedly, he heard a very familiar growling noise from within his consciousness. Kyuubi Naruto mentally growled. Naruto the Kyuubi growled in the same tone. I heard some very intriguing news. Naruto felt his throat go dry and felt himself get pulled into his consciousness. Naruto opened his eyes to see a large cage with a paper seal. Within this cage, a large red eye with a vertical slit as a pupil opened. Naruto felt no fear coming here, but the Kyuubi never forcefully pull him here unless it's for a good reason. What do you want, Kyuubi? Naruto asked with no fear in his voice. The Kyuubi exhaled deeply, pushing air into Naruto's face. That annoyed Naruto a bit. I heard Minato is alive after all this time. And I heard his wife and child is alive and well. The Kyuubi said and smirked. So? Get on with it. Naruto said angrily and crossed his arms. Naruto doesn't like the Kyuubi very well. This was the being that practically ruined his life and killed his parents, if what the words Hiruzen said was true. The Kyuubi gave a very bitter chuckle and continued to smirk as if the devil was himself. I'd watch that tone of yours if I was you, Naruto. But putting aside the pleasantries, Minato, I know him and his family really well. The Kyuubi insinuated and tilted his head. Naruto stood stock still as he walked on water. Naruto didn't know what to do about that piece of info. The Kyuubi hates Naruto for being sealed in his gut, he can definitely understand that, but he never knew the Kyuubi knew the Yondaime and his family on what it sounds to be a personal level. How? Naruto asked, getting the Kyuubi to smirk wildly and bore his one big red eye on Naruto. Minato, he killed your parents. The Kyuubi informed, which sent a huge tremor in Naruto's body. No, that can't be true. You're lying. Naruto shouted and instantly tears fell from his eyes. It's not true. It can't be true. The Yondaime wouldn't kill his parents just to get to him. Would he? He did seal the Kyuubi into him and abandoned him without help. Unknown to him, the Kyuubi only remained smirking while he spun his web of lies. It is true. And I know everything that happened during the day I attacked this pitiful village. The Kyuubi told. Naruto lost control of his chakra and sunk into the water while his tears fell. The news about his parents killed him from within. Hey Kaya-san, T2-san, did you guys love me? Naruto wondered while he fell to his knees. The ankle-deep water clung to his cloths and skin, and confusion began to cloud his judgment. Knowledge of his parents and their love for him was always a secret desire, and knowing that they are dead crushed him. Now he felt he'll never know if they loved him. Perfect, he's breaking. The Kyuubi gave a sinister smirk to himself. Just a little more and his judgment will be easily clouded. It's true the Sandame said they died in the Kyuubi attack. It's true, isn't it? Naruto realized to himself. The old man said his parents died in the Kyuubi attack, but he didn't know them personally. Maybe the Sandame was right. Maybe the Sandame did know his parents died that day and didn't know them personally. Yeah, that makes a bit of sense. The Kyuubi heard his container's thoughts. Yes, the Sandame didn't lie that day when he told you your parents died in my so-called attack and he didn't know them. The Sandame didn't know your parents, they were some commoners the Yondaime killed off to get to you. I saw the Yondaime strike down your mother and your father. I actually tried to save them. The Kyuubi told solemnly, which stopped all of Naruto's tears. What Naruto demanded, obviously shocked by this discovery. He felt a little guilty about not warning the Sandaime about Orochimaru's invasion, but the news about the Yondaime killing his family shocked him to his core. And not only that, but the Kyuubi actually tried to save his parents. How unbelievable is that? Why would the Kyuubi bother to save a pair of commoners? This belief was seriously scarred on Naruto's face. No. You're lying. You attacked Konoha for the sake of killing its people. Naruto accused desperately for any hope the Kyuubi is wrong. The Kyuubi merely snorted in response. Please, if I told you the truth, you'd still won't believe, but I'll tell the tale anyways. The Kyuubi said and cleared his throat. The noise boomed within his consciousness as Naruto kneeled down on both knees in front of the Kyuubi's cage. He always knelt in front of the Sandaime whenever he told stories about random things whenever he came by his office. The day I attacked Konoha, as you said, I was controlled by a Dojutsu called the Sharingan. The Kyuubi stared but was instantly interrupted. The Sharingan? The same Dojutsu Sasuke team has? Naruto asked weakly to confirm what was being told. The Kyuubi nodded and growled dangerously for being interrupted. Those cursed eyes took control of me. Despite my great powers of causing mountains to crumble, tsunamis to spring from the ocean, causing fires of destruction, I am powerless when those eyes bore into my own. These Sharingan eyes utilize Genjutsu to take control of my chakra. Do you understand how Genjutsu works? The Kyuubi asked, but ignored the nod that came from Naruto. Of course you do. You're a genius. Genjutsu works by taking control of chakra, and those eyes took control of my chakra, making me a vulnerable slave to the Uchiha clan. I am a being of pure chakra, and when that man used a Genjutsu on me, I lost all sense of control. This man who took control of me is called Madara Uchiha. The Kyuubi told, ignoring the disbelieving face of Naruto. He's dead, isn't he? Naruto exclaimed. By now, Madara should be over 100 years. The claim sounds rather unbelievable. No. Madara has the power of immortality. I do not know how he holds such powers, but I assume it is because of the Sharingan. But moving on, Madara took control of me, but I was fully capable of knowing what he was doing with me. I saw the Yondaime kill your parents. I roared and screamed to free myself from Madara's control, but I could not. Madara's control over me was too much, and I stood helpless as I wrecked your village. The Yondaime killed your parents and took you from your crib. I don't know your parents on a personal level, but I do know Kushina and Minato on that level. In fact, Minato and Kushina killed your parents. The Kyuubi told, getting Naruto to feel anger, grief, and rage. His mind was reeling from what was being told. He was just told of his parents' death, and now he's being told that an Uzumaki and her husband killed his parents. Nothing made sense, truth couldn't be grasped, lies can't be discerned. Nothing made sense. Those bastards. They killed my parents. Why? Naruto demanded and screamed as tears fell from his eyes. So far, the story of what is being told to him made complete sense. He saw no illusions from the Kyuubi's words, mostly because he didn't understand most of what happened back then, and so far what he said makes sense. Not to mention the fact that Naruto's confusion is higher beyond that of a betrayed comrade. Why would Kushina kill my parents? She's in Uzumaki too, right? Or is Naruto Uzumaki my real name? Naruto demanded and slammed his fists into the water, splashing his cloths and creating ripples in the water. Muhahaha, perfection. He's practically broken. Just one more push, the Kyuubi manipulatively thought. Naruto Uzumaki isn't your given name. The Kyuubi told, once again sending a tremor in Naruto's soul. Utter silence grew so large between the human and Biju. The pause between them took so long that the Kyuubi could have gotten bored. Until the Kyuubi felt a very amusing amount of killer intent from Naruto. Kushina Uzumaki is the only problem with this boy. He believes Kushina is family. If he finds out she is not, then he'll have no reason to stay after all. The Kyuubi thought deceptively. If he can get rid of all of Naruto's holds on Konoha, then he'll be able to manipulate him into doing what he desires, and what he desires is for another story. What? Wow, that means, arg. Naruto shouted and went through a fit of rage. The Kyuubi was greatly amused by his host's reaction. After about an hour of a fit of rage later, Naruto collapsed into a heap of flesh. The Kyuubi heard his sobbing quite clearly. That means Tsunade lied to me. That means the Sandaime lied to me. That means my life was a huge lie. Naruto sobbed. It is sad. I know, Naruto, I know that you do not trust me, but I have much more to tell. The Kyuubi told and shed a fake tear. Naruto saw the enormous tear in a bit of awe. You're crying. Naruto told in slight fascination and shock. I am not a monster that everyone makes me out to be. I am a being that can hold emotion. I can feel love, betrayal, loyalty, and all the range of human emotions. You are not alone, Naruto, for I have been lied to throughout the most of my life, but first, I shall finish my story. The Kyuubi said and his fake tear dropped. A teardrop splashed in his cage loudly and the sounds echoed in Naruto's consciousness. After the Yondaime killed your parents, he whisked you away and brought his dying wife with him to stop me. He brought you in an altar for your size, and his dying wife pinned me to the ground with cursed golden chains. The chains are far too strong and is one of the only methods in this world in stopping me. While I was restrained by Kushina Uzumaki, her husband performed a seal called the Haki no Fuin Shiki. This seal uses a being that even I fear. This being is called the Shinigami. The Kyuubi said, getting a gasp from Naruto. But this great and powerful being, the Shinigami and the Yondaime Hokage sealed me in here, in you. The Kyuubi finished. Naruto, who was a wreck, sat in the water, crying over the news of this talk. The Kyuubi said his parents are dead by the hands that curse his life, and now he doesn't even know what his real name is. Heck, he was lied to far too many times in his life. His line between truth and lies are so blurred that not even Kami could see which is right from wrong. He always went along with his gut, and his gut is telling him to believe this fox. What is Kushina Uzumaki to you? Naruto asked with a voice that was worn down in age, that should not be after finally breaking the long silence that stood between them. She was a real evil and twisted being. She hides behind a mask of happiness, but in truth, she is a demonic being of epic proportions. She once held me much like you do now. The Kyuubi told. Wait, you mean she held you before? Naruto said and pointed. The Kyuubi nodded. She was my second container, the first being her grandmother. When I was in her seal, she would torture me and shed my blood for amusement. Her golden chains pinned me within her seal as I laid helpless in her cage. She would stab stakes into my body, hear my cries, tighten her chains where my fur would shrivel away. Her cruelty is beyond the level of even Marino Ibiki. The Kyuubi informed, getting a shudder from Naruto. Ibiki was a great interrogator in Naruto's opinion. The first part of the Chunin exams proved that. Those questions were ridiculous, and the 10th question made him sweat a waterfall. If Kushina could do worse, then he didn't want to continue the thought. She knew what it felt to be a Jinchuriki, and she often lashed out by her bullies. Often makes them her slaves by intimidation. She made me her slave at one point and I was furious. She understood what it meant to be a Jinchuriki, and she ordered the Sandaime to reveal your secret. This would make the entire village hate you and fear you. She was lucky though, she escaped that fate by having her status a secret from everyone else except a few people. She is that cruel. The Kyuubi told. By now, Naruto put his head down and quietly wept by this devastating news. Perfect, he's so broken now. Just another push and he'll become my unknowing slave. The Kyuubi thought in hidden glee. Showing his glee would reveal his plan, and that is something he doesn't need. I know you do not trust me, but I will remind you that it was I who healed you to perfect health whenever you get beaten, spitted on, starved, and all the rest of the village's bullshit. I helped you in your match against that Hyuga boy because I saw how pitiful an excuse he had in life. I know your life was much worse than Niji Hyuga's, and I helped you when that perverted toad sage pushed you off a cliff. Jiraiya wanted to kill you that day. The Kyuubi stopped when he saw a look on Naruto's eyes. Save it. I see now that you are my only real friend, if only if I knew what a friend was. And I do not care about any near-death experiences by anybody anymore. I already have enough enemies as of now. Naruto replied. A hard look of sheer hatred graced his eyes. What do you take on this, Naruto? It sounds like a girl's name. Naruto asked with a hard look. The Kyuubi was greatly amused by the look inside out. Naruto is the Yondaime's daughter. Minato wouldn't risk his own daughter when he has a village that can offer him a sacrifice. I saw her through Kushina's seal, and I tried to remove her from this existence as a form of payment for sealing me in you. And also for a sort of revenge for you, but ultimately I failed in killing her. The Kyuubi told. The Kyuubi saw no reaction in Naruto's eyes nor body. Aka Fox, don't bring innocence down with you. I may applaud you for your attempt at killing the Yondaime, but killing innocents will not be tolerated. Naruto reprimanded dangerously. The Kyuubi grew angry and growled. What's going on? He should have been broken by now. The Kyuubi realized to himself and glared at Naruto. He expected a flinch or some sense of fear. Instead, he saw a determined look in Naruto's eyes. Aka human, once the Yondaime is gone his family will be next to kill you. It's the never-ending cycle of hate. The Kyuubi countered. I don't care. If you haven't noticed, I don't like to play by the rules. And that means all rules. Naruto shot back, glared, and growled. What is this feeling? How can he be so determined? The Kyuubi wondered to himself and stood up in the cage. Do you at least know my real name by any chance? Naruto asked while watching his prisoner carefully. I do not know. The screams of the villagers drowned out your father's voice. The Kyuubi answered, aware of the growing rage within Naruto. I am not even given my real name. What load of crap is this? Naruto screamed, kicked, and raged in his mind. I should have expected this. Everyone's against me. I should have known. Naruto scolded himself. Growling at his host, the Kyuubi smirked and grinned. So weak, so pathetic, you don't even have a name. How sad that you had to live the life of a parentless and beaten child. Oh well, if I had the chance to name you, it'd be him Kurama. The Kyuubi told with a mocked voice. How dare he resist me? Where does he get this determination from? The Kyuubi wondered. It always puzzled the Kyuubi on how Naruto becomes strong on his own, and now the Kyuubi felt Naruto's chakra resisting its effect. Well, the Kyuubi was wondering how Naruto gets his determination. Enough trying to manipulate me. I'll get my answers soon enough. I'll demand answers when I'm strong enough. For now, I'll keep the name Naruto Senju. Tsunade seemed to truly want to become my mother, and perhaps she might even have a reason to keep my parents' identity away from me. But if this family is just another farce, then fine. I'll take that name and be called Kurama. Naruto told. In all actuality, the name Kurama sounded pretty cool to him. You're a fool, boy. They'll just betray you in the end. The Kyuubi roared. A deep sickening feeling struck Naruto's stomach. He knew that was a bad feeling and couldn't help but feel his choice is wrong. Stop treating me like I'm an idiot. Naruto glared and walked away. After reclaiming the scroll from under his bed, Naruto summoned a cage Bunshin. You know where to go. Naruto said solemnly and looked at the ground. The Bunshin's expression grew the same and walked off. The real Naruto walked off and made his way to the Senju compound. On his way, he heard the whispers of the villagers. Did you hear? The Yondame's alive. Maybe he'll finish what he failed to do 13 years ago. A rugged man whispered to another. Naruto had a horrible gut feeling inside him that slowly grew into fear. Maybe the Yondaime absolutely seethed him and wanted to kill him to get to the Kyuubi. Who knows? He might as well avoid the Yondaime at all cost. He could tell bad things would happen if they ever crossed paths. This is bad. I know this is going to be bad. Naruto thought and rushed towards the Senju compound. Luckily, nobody questioned the giant scroll behind his back as he walked through Konoha. It would have been bad news if he was caught, not that he would have. One time, he managed to vandalize the Hokage's mountain in clear daylight before the public or the Anbu squads ever noticed him, just to see if anyone can see potential in him in his own way, but the results wasn't in his favor. If he could vandalize the Hokage's mountains, then Naruto should be able to make his way with a scroll on his back. Eventually, he made his way to the Senju compound without incident, or so he thinks. Gazing at the Senju gateway, the Senju gate is completely wooden and has the Senju symbol scattered across the gate and wall. Right after he placed the key inside the keyhole, the gates to the Senju compound swung open, and just before he walked inside, he heard a voice. Then Naruto K-kun. The bowl haircut teen in a green spandex suit laid on a hospital bed, hoping for his turn for recovery. So far, every treatment that was given to him pretty much failed, not surprising, since his sensei has no clue as to how to treat people right. But hey, Guy Sensei is a kind man who wants his student to jump on his feet again. But he's no Tsunade. Naruto-kun, you've beaten Niji. Kun, you've beaten someone that I could never beat. You truly have the flames of youth. Lee thought with a warm and youthful smile as he listened to the silence of the hospital room. All around him, machines are everywhere and annoyingly beep to peeve him off. Although, this room is very youthful in keeping me safe. I wish I could go outside again, hopefully soon. Lee sadly thought. Lee-kun. A voice rang from the hall. The voice brought a friend and brought Lee's ever-faithful sensei, Mido Guy. "Aye sensei." Lee replied happily. "Do not fear. Tsunade-sama shall heal you into tip-top shape," Guy told, getting a hopefully look on his student's face. "Yosh. The flames of youth haven't abandoned me yet." Lee cheered. "Lee-kun." Guy shouted. "Aye sensei." Lee shouted. "Lee-kun." "Aye sensei." A few rounds of screaming each other's names later. "Lee-kun. There is no need for fear, for Tsunade-sama is the greatest medical ninja ever," Guy said confidently, and soon enough a clone of Tsunade came around the door. "Thank you for the compliment, Guy." The Tsunade clone thanked and walked over to Lee, who had awe and hope in his eyes. "Tsunade-sama." Guy stuttered in the amazing sight of Tsunade. His eyes couldn't help but look downwards from her face. "Eyes up here, Jounin." The Tsunade clone reprimanded. Guy started to sweat and bow repeatedly. "Yosh. I apologized, Tsunade-sama. I did not intend to become like my rival, Kakashi, and follow his unyouthful perverted quirks. For my transgressions I shall run 1,000,000 laps around Konoha. If I fail, I shall." The Tsunade clone put a hand to stop Guy. "That's enough, Guy. Just let me look over your student," the Tsunade clone told somewhat impatiently. Instantly, Guy stepped out of the way to let Tsunade to pick up a clipboard of Lee's diagnostics report. As she studied the report with great intent, another person stormed into the room. "Ha-chan." Sasuke sat on a hospital bed, thinking about his blonde teammate. Sasuke saw the improvements Naruto made and wondered how he gotten stronger since Naruto was the dead last. Naruto shouldn't have gotten that strong so quickly that he could be an equal to him, the rookie of the year. It doesn't make sense. He gotten all the training from Kakashi, but somehow Naruto managed to keep up and beaten a foe Sasuke can't beat. How did I lose to him? And how did Naruto beat him when I can't? Sasuke thought in frustration. His fist clenched in frustration as he seethed by Naruto's vast improvements. The dead last even beaten that Neji Hyuga, who was the rookie of the year from last year. How could this year's dead last beat their rookie of the year? Sasuke questioned. It sounded unbelievable in his eyes. In Sasuke's eyes, the rookie of the year was greatly stronger than the dead last, but Naruto was the only exception. How did Naruto get so strong all of a sudden? Sasuke wondered. He heard the sounds of tears coming from one's eyes and turned his cold gaze to the door. What he saw had pink hair and a red dress with a white halo on the bottom and back. What's wrong with her? Sasuke wondered and narrowed his eyes on his pink-haired teammate. Sasuke-kun. She sobbed and clutched onto Sasuke. I can't find my mother. Please help me Sasuke-kun. Sakura pleaded and cried on Sasuke's shoulder. Sasuke-kun, a meeting took place yesterday ago, and I can't find my mother. Sakura cried, and she cried harder when Sasuke gave a look of well, no look at all. He didn't really care for Sakura but perhaps, Lee-kun. A voice rang from the hall. Both Sakura and Sasuke grew annoyed by the voice. They both knew what that exuberant voice belongs to. Ai-sensei. Do not fear. Tsunade-sama shall heal you into tip-top shape. Yosh. The flames of youth haven't abandoned me yet. Lee-kun. Ai-sensei. Lee-kun. Ai-sensei. Another round of endless screaming of their names again. Lee-kun. There is no need for fear for Tsunade-sama is the greatest medical ninja ever. I thank you for the compliment guy. Sasuke and Sakura knew of their Hokage's voice and actually started to pay attention. The Hokage's attention is quite important and if she's here then it's obviously important. Tsunade-sama. Eyes up here Jounin. Yosh. I apologized Tsunade-sama. I did not intend to become like my rival, Kakashi, and follow his unyouthful perverted quirks. For my transgressions, I shall run 1,000,000 laps around Konoha. If I fail, I shall. That's enough guy. Just let me look over your student. Ha-chan. Both Sakura and Sasuke recognized that voice. Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura whispered. And Naruto has a mother now both Sasuke and Sakura didn't believe the dead last would have gotten adopted. Sasuke noticed Sakura has a furious look in her eyes. That baka gets a mother and I lose mine Sakura gritted her teeth. Growling, Sakura gritted her teeth and walked off. Sasuke got up and followed her. Naruto's no longer an orphan. It's not fair. How come he gets stronger, yet he also gets adopted? Laying on a third hospital bed, a purple-haired woman in a hospital gown is unconscious. A blonde-haired boy with blue eyes watched over her carefully and watched the door with extreme amount of protection. A chair was what the clone was sitting on to the left side of the woman's bed as the Naruto clone watched the door. This was where the Naruto clone went to after being created after Naruto talked with the Kyuubi. So far, not one person came to visit the purple-haired woman. The clone put a finger on the woman's neck, a pulse flared under the clone's touch. Every day since the invasion, Naruto regretted saving this woman's lover's life. Naruto felt it was his responsibility because he could have saved Yuga of her suicide attempt. Ironically, Naruto was the one who carried her to the hospital, under a henge of course. No one would treat a patient that was touched by the Kyuubi brat. Ever since he found out Yuga was Hate's lover, Naruto felt he owed Yuga an explanation and so much more. Even though Yuga is an Anbu level ninja, Naruto wanted to protect her despite being a Chunin to Jounin level ninja. Naruto certainly has the requirements to become Jounin, other than two aspects. He has two elemental affinities, a good repertoire of ninjutsu, decent taijutsu, but sadly no jinjutsu. Jinjutsu and having 2 years as a Chunin was probably the only thing that'll prevent Naruto from ever becoming Jounin. Damn the rules. I can still be a cage level ninja even without Jinjutsu. I know I can. The Naruto clone thought confidently and watched Yuga carefully. Every day, Naruto always sent a single clone to guard Yuga whenever possible. Ever since his lack of action to save Hade, Naruto knew he owed Yuga an explanation and he felt he owed Yuga for the pain he caused. It wasn't hard getting a clone inside the hospital and apparently there is a blind spot around the hospital. But Naruto wasn't going to say that to anyone. The tree lines makes entry super easy and he wouldn't be able to guard Yuga if he ever told anyone. The hospital was very boring to the clone, but the clone stayed place because of the debt the clone's boss felt towards this woman. Every time, the clone would always skip signing the visitor papers because that would arouse suspicion on him if he only came to visit Yuga. During one of his clone's guarding times, the clone remembers a clone's experiences with Gaara, who tried to kill Lee in his sleep. Naruto wanted to prevent Yugao's assassination, albeit that was probably unnecessary because of Yugao's Anbu status. Both the clone and the real deal knew the Anbu are mysterious people and only the Hokage knows of them personally. The Anbu is the Hokage's personal ninja force after all. But regardless of what happened, Naruto wanted to protect Yuga ever since Gaara's assassination attempt on Lee's life. There was a possibility that Yugao could have assassins after her, and Naruto didn't want to take that chance of an assassin coming in to kill her, not before he apologizes of what he didn't do. Hey-kun. Yugao whimpered out despite being unconscious. The clone's heart cracked so much that it could have dispelled by the pain of regretting of not saving Hade. Luckily, it didn't. I'm so sorry. The Naruto clone whispered to no one in particular. The clone watched Yugao start to tremble and saw some tears falling from her face. She must have really loved Hei to cry about him after this long. The Naruto clone thought. I am so sorry. Unexpectedly, he heard a pair of very loud voices in a room nearby. Lee-kun. A voice rang from the hall. Dai-sensei. Another voice shouted back in a bit of awe and shock. Do not fear. Tsunade-sama shall heal you into tip-top shape. Yosh. The flames of youth haven't abandoned me yet. Lee-kun. Dai-sensei. Lee-kun. Dai-sensei. Yet another round of screaming each other's names yet again. Lee-kun. There is no need for fear for Tsunade-sama is the greatest medical ninja ever. I thank you for the compliment guy. Tsunade-sama. Eyes up here Jounin. Yosh. I apologize Tsunade-sama. I did not intend to become like my rival Kakashi and follow his unyouthful perverted quirks. For my transgressions, I shall run a million laps around Konoha. If I fail, I shall. The clone lightly chuckled by their behavior. Typical Guy, the clone noted. In all honesty, Naruto liked Guy. He definitely liked Guy much better than Kakashi, and he sometimes wished he could have graduated with Lee instead to receive some actual training. That's enough Guy. Just let me look over your student. That greatest medical ninja in the elemental nations is now my Kachan. So far she seemed genuine about this adoption. Maybe I can give this a chance. Naruto thought with a genuine smile. But was snapped from his stupor when he heard a long and unbroken beeping noise coming from the machine that is hooked up to Yugao. The clone rushed out of the room. Kachan. The Naruto clone shouted in Lee's room. All three turned to the orange-wearing ninja. What is it Sachi-kun? The Tsunade clone asked casually while shocking the green-wearing ninjas. Tsunade-sama adopted Naruto-kun. Lee and Guy thought in shock. Metaphorically, their jaws dropped through the floor and into the earth. The patient is dying. You have to help her. The Naruto clone shouted in desperation. The Tsunade clone got a hard look on her eyes and put down Lee's diagnostic report. I'm sorry Lee, but I promise I'll come back for you later. The Tsunade clone promised and quickly left with the Naruto clone, leaving behind two absolutely stunned ninjas. Tsunade-sama Guy said in awe, but Lee finished for him. Adopted Naruto-kun. Guy suddenly got a huge grin on his face. Lee-kun. Once Tsunade-sama heals you, I shall adopt you. Guy shouted. Tremors ran through Lee's body before he burst into tears. Gee Guy-sensei. Lee cried, but Guy put a hand on his shoulder. Ah. It's Two-chan to you now. Guy reminded, getting his soon-to-be new son into tears. DT Two-chan. Lee cried and hugged his newfound father, both of them are too happy to notice two figures watching them. Lee Baka gets a father, and we are left with nothing. Sakura and Sasuke thought in anger and envy. Back in Yugao's room, the machine continued to beep loudly as Yugao remained still on the bed. The clones of Naruto and Tsunade rushed inside, and the Tsunade clone already started weaving hand seals. Her hands glowed green and placed it on Yugao's chest. Damn, I remember this case. Tsunade knew. Naruto. Bring me Shizune at once. Go as fast as you can. The Tsunade clone commanded. The orange-wearing clone nodded. In an orange blur, the Naruto clone left the room, shocking the Tsunade clone of his speed. How was Naruto that quick? He was never that fast when he fought Kabuto, and that was just a little over a week ago. No one can be that quick in such a short time. The Tsunade clone realized, but remembered the beeping that is going on. Don't you dare die on me. The Tsunade clone shouted and jump-started Yugao's heart by giving it a bit of a jolt. It's a blessing that I know a few Raiden techniques. The Tsunade clone thought and applied a sustaining technique simply to prevent Yugao from dying. Then Naruto K-kun. The original Naruto turned around to see a beautiful girl with dark blue hair and fair skin. Her eyes are as pale as the moon and has her headband wrapped around her neck. Hinata wore a navy blue pants and a cream-colored hooded jacket with a fire symbol on the upper parts of the sleeves. Hey Hinata, what's up? Naruto asked. Naruto saw a small blush forming on her face. Naruto couldn't help but smile that he had that effect on her. She's so pretty like that. Naruto thought and smiled. Hinata mumbled something, but Naruto couldn't hear it. What was that? Naruto asked and stepped forward. Hinata wanted to collapse right then and there, but her feeble will somehow managed to keep her upright. Why are you going into the senju compound and Naruto-kun? Hinata asked while stuttering along the way. Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly and grinned happily. Well, you see Hinata, I recently got adopted and I live here now, I think. Naruto admitted. Naruto might as well reveal he got adopted by his Hokage. He figured he won't be able to hide something of that magnitude, so he might as well embrace the truth in this case. Hinata was greatly shocked by the news of her crush getting adopted. Who would adopt Naruto-kun after 13 years? And why is he going to the Senju compound? The only Senju who could possibly adopt him is mental gasp. Tsunade-sama adopted Naruto-kun. Hinata realized. Tsunade-sama adopted you? Hinata asked, but it sounded more like a statement. Naruto grinned wider and nodded. Yep, I am now Naruto Senju. Would you like to come inside with me? Naruto offered. Instantaneously, an atomic blush made its way to Hinata's face. Naruto-kun offered me to join him. Naruto-kun offered me to join him. Heck. Hinata internally wailed. Naruto noticed her blush and stepped forward to put a palm on her forehead. You okay, Hinata? You look kinda red, do you need to go inside? He asked. The moment his hand touched her forehead, Hinata felt a great urge to faint and pass out. Naruto loved seeing Hinata blush like that whenever he acted oblivious. Come on in. Let's get you inside. Naruto told and walked Hinata across the Senju compound. So far, Hinata didn't pass out, which is a new record for her. As they passed through a dozen of abandoned Senju homes, Naruto couldn't help but see Hinata struggle to look him in the eyes. A frown came to his face. He liked Hinata, but he couldn't help but feel upset that Hinata can't meet his eyes with her own. Eventually, the new Senju and Hyuga made their way to a two-story building. The Senju home has a brown tiled roof, along with brown wooden walls. There are a few windows scattered across the walls for those who wants to see things from the inside to out, or vice versa. The overall color across the entire home is completely dark brown. Naruto and Hinata entered the two-story home and saw the brown wooden floor, ceiling, and walls around them. The furniture is the bare necessities that are capable of being moved around. It seems Tsunade hasn't moved in yet. Look at all the dust around here. The Senju compound is pretty much abandoned. I'll fix that right up. Naruto thought and formed a hand seal. Haju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto called out, and the Senju home is surrounded by Naruto clones. Clean up this place, guys. Naruto ordered. The clones went to work, and amongst the chaos of cleaning up the house, Naruto passed a scroll on his back to a clone without letting Hinata see him. Bury this thing. Summon Kage Bunshins if you need help and be quick. We can't let this scroll be stolen from us or there'll be trouble. Naruto whispered quietly. Meanwhile, Hinata was amazed by the amount of Kage Bunshins Naruto made. She saw how many he made before, but she was greatly intrigued by their usage. These clones can pretty much do everything the real deal can. I wonder if these C clones could have other uses. Hinata though while blushing madly. She felt a hand on her shoulder and saw a clone of her crush offering her tea. Oh tea, thank you, and Naruto-kun. Hinata thanked and blushed even more after she claimed the tea. The clone grinned even more and went to help the other clones to clean up the house. After the clone of Naruto taken the scroll away from Hinata, the clone walked and formed a few more Kage Bunshins. Alright gang, we need to find an appropriate spot for this scroll. We'll retrieve it later when everything's calmed down. The few clones scattered and eventually the clone received the memories of a clone where a spot is good. The clone leapt on a few rooftops to see a forest edge. The forest edge had a nice line of forest and the clone entered the forest. So, Hinata, how's your wound from Niji? Naruto asked a bit worriedly as his clones finished cleaning the house. Hinata still had a blushing face but answered truthfully to not seem boring in front of her crush. It's fine, Naruto-kun. There was a nice Anbu who healed me when the leaf was invaded. Hinata answered. Oh, do you know this Anbu? Naruto asked curiously with a warm smile. Hinata shook and hung her head. Naruto saw a small frown on her face. Naruto raised her chin to look into her eyes. It's fine, Hinata, Anbu are usually very mysterious people. Naruto reminded and smiled softly. Hey, how about you try to be more confident in yourself? You know, I was very, and I mean very proud of you when you stood up to Niji even though you lost. I was so proud of you that day. Naruto admitted and adopted a thoughtful expression. Hearing her crush saying these sudden words caused her to feel glee. Naruto-kun's proud of me. Naruto-kun's proud of me. Hinata thought, blushed, and smiled weirdly all at the same time. You know, how about we go? He felt an influx of memories. Oh crap, that could be big trouble, Naruto thought, but kept his composure and finished what he was saying. That's some ramen? Naruto asked, and as expected Hinata grew a new shade of blush. That sounds like a date. Hinata told, getting Naruto to recoil and give a small chuckle. Ahaha, I guess it is. Naruto confessed sheepishly. But and Naruto-kun, what about Sakura-san? Hinata asked. She would love the chance to nab Naruto without Sakura's consent, but she was worried about his crush on her. But she ended up regretting to remind him about Sakura when she saw Naruto have a frown on his face. And Naruto-kun? Hinata asked worriedly, but suddenly Naruto grew cheery again. Well, Sakura-chan keeps rejecting me all the time and she always beats on me when I even talk to her. I mean, it kinda gets tiring to ask Sakura-chan out only to get beaten, and lately I've been thinking about someone else. Naruto confessed. Shock turned up on Hinata's face as she heard the words leave his mouth. He's been thinking about someone else. See, could it be Ino-san, or that Tenten girl, or that AM person? Hinata wondered with a frown. Naruto grinned and took Hinata's hands gently. Will you get some ramen with me? Naruto asked gently, getting the blush he always liked. Then Naruto-kun's thinking about Mimi, Hinata mentally screamed. She didn't trust her voice, so she went with a nod. The clone ready to Rasengan and carved a hole in the ground. After digging a large enough hole for the scroll with all the techniques in the village to fit in, the clone placed the large scroll in the hole. This'll keep it safe for now. The clone thought and buried the scroll deep into the ground. Afterwards, the clone covered the tracks however it had to be done. Suiton. Teppadama. The clone whispered and fired a very small amount of water from his mouth to help conceal the spot where the clone dug up. Afterwards, the clone flipped through hand seals. Gyuten. Tatapa. The clone whispered and blew a wind on the spot, giving it a more natural look. The clone nodded at its work and was about to dispel, only to hear a voice call out to him. What are you doing here, Naruto-kun? The voice asked. The Naruto clone easily recognized the voice and sheepishly scratched the back of its head. Sorry Kakashi-sensei, but I'm in the middle of some training. The clone admitted sheepishly. In the middle of the senju compound. Only a senju has any right to enter here. Kakashi asked somewhat dangerously. The clone took notice of the tone, but didn't bother with it. The clone had every right to be here. Well, I am technically a senju now. Ask Kachan about it. The clone replied with a grin. His answer caught Kakashi's full attention, and his mind already connected the dots. Tsunade is the last known senju after all. Tsunade-sama adopted Naruto. Since when? Kakashi wondered. Kachan adopted me today in the morning. The clone smiled and found the ground interesting. I'm not alone anymore. The clone whispered and Kakashi caught it. Good for you Naruto-kun. Kakashi said and ruffled the clone's hair much to the clone's protests. The baka. Doesn't even know a good actor when he's feeling so happy for me. So what are you doing here, exactly? I saw you use elemental ninjutsu and I'm quite surprised. Kakashi admitted while narrowing his lone eye, getting the clone to sweat. Oh crap. Did he see me bury the scroll? The clone mentally freaked but kept its pose. Yeah Kakashi-sensei, you want to help me with my Suiton training? The clone of Naruto asked eagerly. Kakashi nodded and the clone turned to a tree and flipped through hand seals. Suiton. Teppadama. The clone roared and fired 3 rounds of Kakashi's torso-sized water bullets. The 3 bullets made contact with the tree, blowing it up and causing it to fall down on the spot where the scroll was buried. Impressive. Kakashi said in slight awe. That was better than Sasuke's fireball. Sasuke's fireball is only a single shot, while that jutsu has 3. If these two fought, then Naruto would win. Kakashi admitted while the clone grinned. Too bad that wasn't my full power. Kakashi would have suspected something if I accidentally dispelled. The clone thought and turned to Kakashi. So, Kakashi-sensei. I got Futen and Suiton, and I noticed Sasuke has Kaiten and Raiten. That means I can beat him in elemental ninjutsu. The clone said and its grin grew larger. How did Naruto know that? Kakashi wondered and looked at the clone. I didn't teach him elemental ninjutsu. How did he learn that? It seems you really gotten a good grasp on Suiton ninjutsu Naruto-kun. You don't need my help. Kakashi assured. The clone's eyebrow twitched. Lazy baka. Can't even find time to help me. If he took the time to notice, I haven't even perfected most of my Suiton jutsus. The clone noted a bit angrily. So what about you? What are you doing in the Senju compound? Naruto asked. I saw the gates of the Senju compound open. I thought we had some theft or something, and I thought it was my duty to stop them from what they were doing. Kakashi answered. The answer sounded logical to the clone. Well, boss did forget to close the gates. The clone sheepishly remembered. How could boss be so careless? Well, it's getting kinda late Kakashi-sensei. So I'll be seeing ya. The clone ran off. Kakashi glanced at the downed tree, not before leaving by Shunshin. Meanwhile, the clone was waiting for Kakashi to leave from behind a tree. When the clone was sure Kakashi was gone, the clone dispelled, but the clone was unaware of another clone that was up on a tree branch. So that was a clone this whole time. The Kakashi clone thought. And what was that clone doing out here? Training. It sounds likely. The memory feedback could be used training, but I didn't teach him any of that. Who taught him that? Could he have known this whole time? Or could it be it? The Kakashi clone thought and dispelled. A Naruto clone was sprinting towards Tsunade's office in a hurry after a clone of Tsunade told him to get Shizune. The clone burst through the Hokage's door in a hurry and screamed, "Ni-chan. Ka-chan. A patient is dying and you have to help her." The clone shouted. After taking a good look around the room, the clone noticed several Tsunade clones are working on a few piles of a minion of Yami's white sheets of evil. Naruto-kun, we're all clones. A Tsunade clone told, getting the Naruto clone to sweat drop. I was talking to a group of Senju bunchins. great. The clone thought. At least she took my Cage Bunshin tips seriously. Where's the real Ni-chan? The clone asked hurriedly. Tsunade clone nodded and screamed very loudly. Shizune. At once, Shizune came bursting through the door with several pieces of paper and a scroll in her hand. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Shizune asked. The paintant needs you, take Naruto-kun to the hospital with you. One of the Tsunade clones ordered. Shizune did what she was told and took the Naruto clone to the hospital via Shunshin after she placed the pieces of papers she came with on Tsunade's desk. Back in Yugao's hospital room, Shizune and a clone of Naruto appeared via Shunshin no Jutsu. Good, Shizune, you're here. This person lost the will to live. The Tsunade clone, who was meant to heal Lee, explained roughly, getting shocked looks from Naruto and Shizune. Naruto gave a look of guilt, but Shizune turned serious and focused on their patient. Lost the will to live. Can a person really die like that? The clone of Naruto wondered. Hey Kachan. Is it really possible for a person to die by having no will to live? The blonde clone asked worriedly. It sounds rather unbelievable. Just because someone doesn't want to live anymore makes it seem unbelievable. Yeah, Naruto-kun, now please go into the hallway. We're going to need some space to save this person. The Hokage's clone commanded. Naruto rushed out of the room, leaving Tsunade and Shizune to heal Yugao. Shizune, the medicine. Tsunade stated. Shizune lifted the bottom part of her black kimono, which showed a case of 4 syringes strapped to her thigh. She took one out and injected one into Yugao's neck. The effect was fairly quick when Yugao's pulse began to flare again. Once her pulse stabilized, Shizune helped the Tsunade clone in healing Yugao. The healing session was rough, but thanks to the 2 medical senjus, Yugao's going to make it. Shizune, why did Naru-chan have a guilty look on his face? The clone of Tsunade asked while supplying chakra to Yugao's heart. I don't know Tsunade-sama, but he really looked guilty. Shizune replied while examining the heart monitor, which beeped, letting both medics know Yugao's alive. We'll take about this later, but for now we'll have to take care of this problem, then we'll talk to Minato and Kushina later. The clone of Tsunade said and turned to Yugao. Well, she's okay. I read on her and she lost a lover during the 1 month the Genins have for the Chunin exams finals. That is probably the cause of her losing the will to live. Tsunade explained, as a solemn look appeared on Shizune's face. Tsunade-sama. Shizune asked for her sensei's clone attention, but instead she got an annoyed look. Shizune, I am your mother now, or rather a clone of her, but I would like you to call me Kachan like your Itato does. Tsunade reprimanded lightly. Smiling softly, Shizune chuckled lightly and gazed softly on her newfound mother. Shizune was oddly comfortable with her sensei's clone, but the memory trick allowed her to be herself around her sensei's clone and treat them like her mother, but secretly, Shizune was slightly edgy around her sensei's clone. Well, others told me that Naruto-kun often comes to the hospital. Perhaps, this woman is who Naruto was seeing. Shizune suspected. The Tsunade clone thought about and cupped her chin. Naruto-kun was the one who told me about this patient, maybe we're on to something. I think we should just ask Naruto-kun why he was here. Tsunade said. Yeah, maybe later. Shizune said and stayed to watch Yugao. Is it true? A voice abruptly called from the hallway. Both senjus looked at who talked and saw a familiar pink-haired figure. What's true? Sakura right? Tsunade asked and raised an eyebrow curiously. Is it true that you adopted Naruto Baka? Sakura demanded with Sasuke revealing himself from behind Sakura. Being demanded from caused the Tsunade clone to glare at Sakura. Why yes, it's true. Naruto Uzumaki is now Naruto Senju and my Sachi. Tsunade informed and glared at the 2 members of Team 7. But to her growing confusion Sakura grew angry and stomped away. Sasuke followed behind her, not before giving a glare to his Hokage. Hachan? Shizune asked worried. She knew about Sakura's condition and worried that Tsunade might be worried about that. Call it a cycle of worworts. It's fine Shizune. Naruto can take care of himself and if he needs us, we'll be there for him. Tsunade told. Now that Yugao-san's fine, how about you go back to the office? Tsunade said. After being told to leave the room, Naruto left for the rooftops for some air. He felt an extreme amount of guilt of putting Yugao in that hospital bed and now there was a possibility that she could have died. Okami-sama save Yugao-san. I just want the chance to apologize to her and she nearly died because of me. And now look at her, she nearly died by losing her will to go on. Naruto thought sadly as he watched the towels that are hanging, dry. My mask had nearly killed a person. I can't let this go on. What if I didn't let my mask slip when I fought Kabuto? Kachan and Ni-chan would have died that day and I wouldn't have called them my family. Then Naruto wanted to cry, but he refused to let anyone see him break. He didn't want to let anyone know the demon brat broke. It would only bring in more pain. Sure the villagers grew a bit nicer, but there was always a select few who could do worse when he's vulnerable. No more playing the fool. I gotta remove this thing before someone else gets killed. It might be sooner than I hoped for, but it's better than letting another person lose their life because I didn't do anything." Naruto stood up from sitting on the roof. He looked to the sky with unyielding determination. "Look out, world. Cause Naruto use 'em, no. Naruto Senju is here." Naruto thought with rarely gained pride and grin. "Naruto Baka." A screech filled the sky. Naruto slowly turned and grinned wildly at the voice. His eyes laid on his two teammates and Naruto couldn't help but grin at them. "The Sakura's angry. She probably wants to punch me right about now. Well, no more. I won't tolerate any more beatings." Naruto thought as he turned to Sasuke. He might treat Sakura as a thing in his mind, but he would never say it out loud. It would bring lots of unwanted attention to him. He's angry too. Maybe I can rough him up a bit and teach him a few things, one being humility. Naruto thought and walked over to them. When he was in punching range, Sakura leaked out killer intent. Now Naruto wasn't fazed by the tiny amount. Sakura was never a powerful kunoichi like his adoptive mother. He felt Tsunade's killer intent before and it was massive compared to Sakura and it wasn't even directed at him. Then, as expected, Sakura threw a punch. And as expected, Naruto caught her fist with ease, shocking both his teammates. What? Sakura with wide eyes was greatly shocked that Naruto didn't take the punch. Sasuke was equally shocked as his female teammate. He wasn't expecting Naruto to catch her fist with ease. "What? I didn't even see Naruto move his fist to intercept Sakura's." Sasuke seethed and glared at Naruto. "Let go of my hand, Naruto Baka." Sakura shouted and threw her other fist at Naruto. To her growing anger, slight fear and rage, Naruto caught her other fist in his other hand. "I am done with you, Sakura. I am done with being your stress reliever. All those demeaning words you said to me is history and I had enough of your distaste for me. If you hate me so bad, then say it. End this stupid farce and scream it to the world." Naruto shouted and glared at the two. Shock. Shock was in Sakura's mind right then and there. She never expected her punching bag to punch back with words of rebellion. She always expected Naruto would take her anger and take it like he always have. But there was one thing she didn't expect. Her punching bag fight back and the lack of the chant suffix. She was shocked that Naruto didn't proclaim his blatant love for her. And it made her feel unwanted. She didn't know how to respond to that. To her growing fear, she felt killer intent leaking from her punching bag. Her breathing quickened and her heart pumped faster. She can feel the adrenaline coursing through her body as Naruto's eyes bored deep into her own. "Well? Do you hate me?" Naruto asked, or rather demanded. Sakura remembered the reason why she was here. "Yes. I hate you, I loathe you, I want to hurt you, I want to beat the living crap out of you. Let me go." Sakura shouted and glared at Naruto. But to her growing feeling of impending doom, Naruto's killer intent rose. It was so large of a killing intent that even Sasuke took a step back away from the pair as Naruto and Sakura glared at each other. What is this? This feels so much like Zabuza and Orochimaru." Sasuke realized with wide eyes. Subconsciously, he gulped in a bit of fear. "What are you?" Suddenly the killer intent vanished and Naruto returned to his cheery mood. "Good, cause I hate you too, Sakura." Naruto casually confessed and released Sakura's fist. Sakura rubbed her wrists, glared at Naruto, and took a few steps back. Seeing Sakura backing off, Naruto turned to Sasuke. "So team? Why are you here?" Naruto asked and glared at Sasuke. Sasuke took a step forward and glared at Naruto. "How long?" Sasuke growled and Naruto pretended not to hear. "What?" Naruto asked with a smirk. How long?" Sasuke looked down. Naruto couldn't see his eyes, his hair blocked his view as Sasuke had a downcast look. "How long what?" Naruto asked again while hiding a smirk. "How long have you held back?" Sasuke screamed and gave a death glare at the senju. Sakura stood there, shocked of what Sasuke asked. All this time I was a greater than you and you just come up and sent that killer intent. How long have you held back on everyone?" Sasuke demanded. Naruto grinned and smirked. He paused dramatically, much to Sasuke and Sakura's anger. "Since 3 years and 8 months ago." His answer shocked both his teammates and that shock quickly grew to anger. "So all this time you were the best of all of us? Better than that green-wearing freak, better than that Hyuga, better than Haku, better than Zabuza, better than me?" Sasuke demanded. "Yep." Naruto answered with a grin. He wouldn't say he's better than Zabuza or Haku, the demon of the mist can equal Kakashi, and Haku's demonic ice mirrors are hard to beat, but Sasuke didn't need to hear that. He then felt Sasuke's killer intent. Like with Sakura, Naruto was unfazed by that and didn't bother to fight back in a war of killer intents. I'll show you and everyone not to make a fool out of me. I'll kill you." Sasuke shouted and threw a fast and reckless punch at Naruto's head, hoping it would connect. Naruto ducked and delivered a 3-hit combo on Sasuke's torso. Each one caused Sasuke to take a step back and the last slammed him to the ground. "That is enough. I had it with your arrogance. And now you tried to pick a fight with me? I'll be the better man and shinobi and let you go with a fair warning. Naruto Senju will not tolerate any more crap from anyone. Naruto proclaimed and glared at both his teammates. When he felt he glared enough, he walked away. Sasuke-kun. Sakura cried and looked over Sasuke. When she saw he was okay, Sakura glared at Naruto. Naruto baka. You stupid demon. You stupid monster. How could you do this to Sasuke? She was suddenly interrupted by a huge blast of kill intent. And her entire body turned cold when Sakura saw a menacing death glare from Naruto. I had enough of this team. Sakura, you are a pathetic kunoichi that should have just quit on the first day. I tried to be a team player and tried to help you in a subtle way, but every single time you reject any offer of aid I gave. I may hate you so badly, but I tried to help you because it was the team-like thing to do, but you reject me and assume that I tried to ask you out on a date. Naruto snapped. And now you have the gall to call me a freak. A demon. A monster. What about you and most of the girls in this village? All of you continuously follow Sasuke like he's some kind of kami. Naruto shouted and glared at Sasuke. And you, Sasuke team. I had enough of your whiny behavior. Look around you. You have so many people beckoning themselves to your feet and you blow away all of them for your pitiful desire for revenge. I remember your little visit a week ago and it looks like you can't even touch Itachi. Sasuke grew furious by the mentioning of his name. We're just a couple of genins. There is absolutely no way for any of yous can take on a cage-level ninja like Itachi in a matter of months. You are a complete fool for using an assassination jutsu in a frontal assault and on a superior ninja to boot. There was no chance for either of us to win against a great ninja like Itachi. Naruto coldly scolded. As a member of Team 7, Team Kakashi, I quit. Naruto quitted and walked away, but he didn't get far when Sasuke tried to sucker punch him in the head. Naruto ducked under the blow. He knew that punch was coming when he felt the killer intent and expected a blind-sided attack. Naruto turned around and threw a punch of his own, which was caught in Sasuke's fist. Sasuke returned another punch of his own, and like before, Naruto caught his fist. Both disengaged and Sasuke threw a roundhouse kick at Naruto, but Naruto caught the kick with ease and attempted to throw him to the fence. To his disinterest, Sasuke's hands touched the ground for stability and kicked Naruto with his other leg. The shot pushed Naruto off of him for space. The blow wasn't strong enough to dispel the clone. Is that all you got? A little handiwork and you're all good to go? Naruto taunted and felt Sasuke's growing killer intent rise. Sasuke charged with reckless abandon and engagged Naruto in a flurry of taijutsu. To Sasuke's surprise, Naruto blocked every strike effectively and even managed to push Sasuke to the defensive. How? Sasuke blocked a punch, are you? Sasuke took a brutal punch to the stomach, effectively knocking the wind out of him, gasped for breath. Better add, Sasuke ducked a kick, taijutsu than me. Sasuke demanded. I held back. Naruto said calmly and gripped on Sasuke's hand and used his might to swing him towards a batch of towels. Sasuke managed to grab his footing off of a towel rack and leapt high onto the water tower. Naruto, tell me why you held back after all these years, Sasuke demanded. Naruto actually thought about it by cupping his chin. Cause I felt like it. Naruto taunted. Sasuke growled and glared at the adopted Senju. That can't be the only reason, dope. Tell me or die. Sasuke threatened. My reasons are for me to know and for you to never find out. Naruto grinned. Then die. Sasuke screamed and leapt off the water tower. He flipped through hand seals in clear daylight, which Naruto caught the last one. The tiger seal. He's going to use a Kaiten jutsu. The Naruto clone thought and flipped through a single hand seal of his own. Kaiten. Bikakyu no jutsu. Sasuke roared. The real Naruto, who was oblivious to everything, was eating some of Ichiraku's ramen and having a good time with Hinata. So far, Naruto liked what he heard from a potential lover and enjoyed his time with Hinata. Now their time together wasn't perfect thanks to a pair of Ichirakus, but nevertheless, Naruto slowly grew a crush on the Hyuga girl. Naruto knew his chances with Hinata could go either way and he feared Hinata would flee from him if she knew the truth. If only if he knew the truth. Hinata knew of Naruto's burden long ago. It was hard to ignore the villagers' whispers of the Kyuubi brat and the demon spawn and not realize they were talking about Naruto through their hateful glares. Hinata wanted to do something about Naruto's pain, but her confidence issues always came up. It was a curse she always had to burden and she knew Naruto needed help but couldn't get over herself. She felt weak. That is till Naruto did a complete 180 and blatantly asked her out. She grew stronger. So here we are, Hinata and Naruto on a small date. Now Naruto's time was short and he had an hour or two with Hinata before he had to go to his adoptive mother for some reason. Sorry, Hinata-chan, but I gotta go to Kachan's office for something. I'll be seeing you. Naruto said, getting the blush he always liked from the girl who cared for him. It's fine and Naruto-kun. Hinata said and put her head down. Her time with Naruto was somewhat short in both their opinions, but hey, being a ninja means making sacrifices. It was something they had to deal with all the time. Hey, I'll be back. I promise. Naruto promised. A hopeful look graced Hinata's face as Naruto left. Just when Naruto was out of her range, he felt the memories of a few slain clones from Sasuke. That could be bad. Naruto thought and contemplated by what happened in Yugao's hospital room. Okami-sama, Yugao almost died because of me. Naruto thought in guilt and silently agreed with his clone. He shouldn't have let Hei die during the invasion, and he wanted to remove his mask completely to protect the innocents. He never wanted to cause someone else the pain that Yugao felt, especially one as beautiful as her. I promise I'll make it up to you, Yugao. That, I promise. Naruto thought and made his way to Tsunade's office. After dealing with the secretary who glared at him, Naruto entered the office to see several Tsunades and a single Shizune working on white sheets of hell, the bane of the Hokage, and hell's minion. Oh, Sachi-kun, you're here. The real Tsunade noticed and beckoned him forward. Okay, Sachi, I know I denied your request for a mission, but I have an urgent mission for you right here and now. Tsunade said with a stern voice. Naruto steeled himself for what's coming. It's a simple mission, just retrieve the listed ingredients. These ingredients will help in Lee's surgery. Naruto perked up to that. Helping Lee was always one of his priority, and helping him now is an excellent opportunity to do so. Lee was one of the main reasons why he ever gotten this far. If it wasn't for Lee, Naruto might have given up becoming a ninja, let alone Hokage. So Naruto felt he owed Lee at least a chance to become a ninja again, no matter how small the odds. Sure, Ka-chan. Naruto said and grinned. His adoptive mother gave him a slip of paper. Oh, and you're going to have a partner with this one. I believe you'll recognize him when you get to the western gates. Tsunade said cryptically. Who? Naruto asked. Ah, that's a secret, Sachi-kun. Tsunade teased. A warm feeling grew in Naruto's gut when she called him Sachi and he found himself hugging Tsunade. Thanks, Ka-chan. Naruto thanked. On the crook of his shoulder, Tsunade can be seen, shedding a silent tear. I'll be going then. Naruto said and stopped. Oh, and Ka-chan. Can Shizune Ni-chan come with me to the Senju compound? I kinda feel sore and I'll feel more comfortable if she helps me there and, you know, not here. Naruto said. Tsunade raised an eyebrow and smiled softly. Obviously enjoying that Naruto is comfortable in the Senju compound. Sure, Shizune. Will you help Naruto-kun with his soreness? It's probably the training. Shizune nodded and put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Sachi-kun, you need to calm down on the training or else you're going to wind up sore all the time. Tsunade scolded lightly, bring Naruto to a chuckle. No. Naruto pouted childishly, crossed his arms, and smirked as if he was imitating a child who doesn't want to do something. Itado. Shizune scolded and playfully glared at her little brother. Sachi. Tsunade said dangerously while hiding a smirk of her own. A glaring contest unofficially started between senjus which ended with Naruto relenting. Fine. Naruto gave up and let Shizune take him. Unfortunately, that was the last time Naruto was going to be nice to Tsunade for a long time. Naruto made his way to the western gates without trouble, luckily. Hashirama made those gates. I'll beat him someday. Naruto thought and waited for his partner to arrive. 2 hours later, he grew impatient and his eyebrow was ticking furiously. Unexpectedly, a smoke cloud appeared and cleared. You're late. Naruto roared and pointed an accusing finger at the person. Ma, no need to worry, Senju-sama. The person said with a mirthful chuckle. Don't call me that, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto shouted. Very well, Naruto-sama. Kakashi smirked and pulled out his orange novel. Naruto's eyebrow began to twitch furiously, so furiously that it could fall off. Let's just get out of here. Naruto said and walked out of Konoha. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade was waiting patiently for 3 very special guests. After a few minutes, Shizune came back via Shunshin no Jutsu. Ah, Shizune, good. Is Naruto-kun okay? Tsunade asked worriedly. Shizune nodded and walked around towards Tsunade's back. Itado had a sore shoulder and it was bugging him like crazy. I really think Itado is training himself too hard. Shizune said. Yeah, I'll get him to calm down soon enough, but first we have to deal with Minato and Kushina. I can't believe those two. They abandoned their son to the hate of this village and they come back. Damn, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. Tsunade said. Shizune tensed when she heard the yondaime had a son. As expected, Minato, Kushina, and a blonde-haired girl with violet eyes filed inside the room. The yondaime Hokage, Konoha's yellow flash, walked inside with a neutral face. The yondaime wore a blue long-sleeve kimono with a long-sleeve mesh shirt underneath. On his legs is the same colored pants with a kunai holster on his right thigh and has 2 kunai pouches on both butt cheeks. Over everything he donned a thick blue with what it seems to be a symbol of Kiri, along with common blue shinobi sandals. Minato held a neutral face as he stared into the eyes of the goddamn Hokage. The wife of the yondaime wore a sleeveless white kimono with a blue sash tied around her waist. Red hair flows from her scalp as she walked with elegance and beauty. Shizune visibly tensed by the woman's beauty. Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze also worn a pair of stockings that stopped at her thighs. Strapped to her back is her sword. According to the sword's sheath, the sword itself seemed pretty thin, yet sharp. Other than that, there is nothing that can be determined. And lastly, the female blonde in the room. Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze held an aura of confidence which brought along a smirk as she whipped her shoulder-length hair around. Naruko Namikaze bears a yellow sleeveless kimono and wears the same pair of stockings her mother wears and stops at the same place, however, her smirk is opposite to Kushina's present frown. "Minato, Kushina," Tsunade said calmly and turned to the younger blonde. "And you must be Naruko." Tsunade presumed and narrowed her eyes dangerously. Minato and Kushina were uneasy with the Gadame's harsh tone and narrowed their own eyes back, however, Kushina added a frown to hers. "Hello Tsunade, how are?" Minato tried to greet, but Tsunade was instantly pissed. "I am Hokage-sama to you. I am not in a fucking good mood right about now and I want you three to sit the hell down." Tsunade snapped and thrusted her finger to the three chairs present in the room. Minato and his family of three reluctantly sat themselves down. A very deep silence emerged between the five as they stared at each other. The room felt cold as each person stared at another. "Hey Kunoichi-san, I would like to talk to Hokage-sama alone if that's alright with you," Minato suddenly said to Shizune. "No. Shizune will stay here. What we have here is between all of us," Tsunade said with a hard glare. Tsunade wasn't going to let Minato push her around even if he is the Yellow Flash. Besides, Shizune is family and family is something that should stick together. Minato gave a disappointed sigh. "Very well." And silence reigned in the room again. Everyone was uncomfortable with each other since two of them are supposed to be dead and a third was never known to exist at all. "I had enough of this silence. Tell me how you survived the Haki no Shiki Fuin, that jutsu was supposed to claim your life after you used it. So how the hell did you survive?" Tsunade demanded. Unexpectedly, Kushina stood up. "Tsunade. Please don't go there." Kushina practically pleaded. Tsunade gave a harsh glare at her before snapping. "No. As Hokage, I demand to know how Minato survived that day," Tsunade demanded harshly. Reluctantly, Kushina sat back down before taking the floor as an interesting object. Oddly enough, Minato remained silent as his wife took a harsh response. "I'll only say this. The Shinigami only slashes once," Minato cryptically said. All he got from the Godame was a confused look while Shizune narrowed her eyes. Naruko was ignoring the whole trade and found her fingernails interesting. "I want details, now," Tsunade said in a tone that demands answers. "No," Minato denied. Tsunade decided to let that slide and move on to a different and more important subject, one that concerns her new son. Besides, she could always interrogate Minato later. One can interrogate the Yondaime if she pulls her political rights properly. "Fine. We'll just move on to a different subject," Tsunade coldly said. Kushina's frown deepened with a colder tone, while her family gave looks of indifference. "Why did you abandon your son?" Tsunade asked bluntly. Simultaneously, Shizune stiffened, Minato's face turned sour, Naruko smirked before snorting out, while Kushina looked to be holding back the urge to cry. "I had no choice," Minato started. "Don't bullshit me like that, Minato. There is always choices. Give me a straight answer or else I'll get an amazing interrogator to have a field day in your mind." Tsunade snapped. "I didn't have a choice." Minato snapped back and glared at Tsunade. Tsunade glared back with full force. Naruko looked like she didn't care and merely kept her attention on her fingernails throughout the talk. Once again, Kushina found the floor interesting and Shizune paid even more attention to the conversation than she thought possible. "Tell me everything. I am the Hokage, I have power over you, so I demand to know why you abandoned Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze," Tsunade shouted. A tight gasp escaped Shizune's lips as she held the urge to cry. "Tsunade." Shizune cried and instantly Tsunade turned motherly. "What's wrong, Shizune?" Tsunade asked worriedly and moved to comfort her, but Shizune pushed her away angrily. "Why didn't you tell me these bastards are my family?" Shizune demanded and formed a hand seal. "Hi." Shizune shouted and she transformed into a smoke cloud. The hinged figure turned out to be Naruto Senju Uzumaki Namikaze in all his glory. And he is beyond pissed. In that instant, Minato gave a pitied look on his son, while Kushina held her urge to cry, while Naruko was gazing on her brother as if she was analyzing him like a piece of meat. Asachi, Tsunade tried to say. She lost all her anger, her fury, and her determination towards the other three the moment she noticed Naruto was eavesdropping on this very conversation. And replacing the aforementioned emotions came fear and anguish, and it was all because of one lie. After Tsunade said Sachi, Kushina was shocked that Tsunade adopted her son and it appeared to them their relationship didn't last long. "You lost that right to call me that when you lied to my face," Naruto snapped. Tsunade opened her mouth to say something, but instead she collapsed and lost all her strength in one instant. I'm sorry, alright. Please. Give me a chance to explain." I promise I'll make it up to you. Please. Just give me this one chance. Tsunade pleaded and gently tried to cup Naruto's hands into her own. But Naruto wasn't having that and shoved her hands away. The Uzumaki Namikaze family was struck into shock as they witnessed Tsunade's collapse in strength. I kami damned it saved your drunken ass life from Orochimaru. What more do I have to do to know my kami damned parents? All this time you could have stepped forward and gave me the truth, but you chose to hide this from me. Naruto shouted and glared at Tsunade. Tsunade hung her head down as she began to cry. She didn't want this, at least not like this. She wanted to tell Naruto of his parents on her own grounds, in her way, but thanks to his parents' arrival, that didn't happen. She knew Naruto would react like this, and she wanted to tell him in a way, so his anger would be directed at something else, but that didn't happen. Minato and his family wisely chose to let this come to pass. IIC couldn't end Naruto K-kun. Tsunade stuttered. She didn't want Naruto to be mad at her. He saved her life in more ways than one, and she couldn't dare raise a fist nor her voice against him. It would only make her a deplorable woman after all he did for her. I deserve it. Don't you dare use that honorific on me. Naruto snapped and backhanded his Hokage. Minato and Kushina was overwhelmingly shocked while Naruto gave a look of interest. And Tsunade was the most shocked of them all. I am so sorry. Tsunade tried to apologize. She wasn't even angry that Naruto backhanded her. To her, she genuinely believed she deserved it after lying to him after all he did for her. Please forgive me. No. Naruto coldly denied. And Naruto. I apologize right now. Kushina demanded for once and stood up. She couldn't bear to see Naruto so angry. She was so shocked of what just blew up in everyone's faces. Sit back down now. Naruto demanded and pointed at Kushina. You have no idea what I've been through, Kushina. Naruto spat out the name as if it was acid. He knew of their identity through the fox that talked to him throughout the conversation. Naruto turned to Minato with as much hate as he could possibly muster after Kushina sat back down. Minato team. Naruto growled. The Yondaime Hokage merely sighed out as if he was disappointed with Naruto's actions. Hello Sachi. Minato greeted but was instantly blasted with killer intent that actually managed to get him to sweat. Don't call me that. Naruto shouted with much gained hate. To his annoyance and growing anger, the female blonde in the room began to laugh. Ahahaha this is hilarious. So this is my Nai-san. He looks so short. Naruto laughed and felt Naruto's killer intent directing itself at her. She merely shrugged it off. So this is Miyamoto. If my eyes are looking right, it looks like she had a good life. You have no idea what sort of hell I've been through, non-Jinchuriki. Naruto spat. Tsunade, Minato, and Kushina was shocked while Naruto gave a look of indifference. How did you know Naruto isn't a Jinchuriki? Minato asked in some shock. Fool. The Kyuubi told me and he's telling me that you're the Jinchuriki to the other half of its chakra. Naruto glared at Minato. A defeated look graced Kushina's face as she began to cry. Don't tell me that you, Kushina whispered. What? Beaten. Imprisoned. Stabbed. Poisoned. Vandalized. Stolen from. Hell, even raped. Yeah, Kushina. I was orchestrated all my life because of this man. Naruto shouted and harshly pointed his finger at Minato. His response shocked everyone, including the seemingly insensitive Naruto. What why you were even raped? Tsunade sobbed in absolute horror. Half of that stuff never even shown up on his files. Oh, Kami-sama. How much did I miss? Tsunade thought in shock as her entire body began to tremble. Kushina took it much harder and began to quietly weep. Even Naruto's eyes widened in shock while Minato gave a depressing frown. Yeah, Tsunade. Naruto spat out the name like with Kushina's name. Tsunade felt like she wanted to break down into tears. So, my so-called family. Naruto said with his words dripping with sarcasm along the harsh way. Kushina looked away while Naruto slowly reverted back to her insensitive demeanor and Minato's frown deepened. Why weren't you there for me? Did you guys hate me because I was the Jinchuriki of the kami-damned Kyuubi? Oh wait. Kushina was a Jinchuriki too, so it couldn't be that reason, could it? Naruto said with sarcasm dripping every now and then. The others were shocked that Naruto knew Kushina was a Jinchuriki too. Yeah, no one was there for me and throughout my whole life, I've been abandoned by everyone. So I ask you, why couldn't you take me with you? Naruto asked with a death glare. Konoha needed its Jinchuriki. Don't you dare give me that bullshit, Minato team. Konoha can burn for all I care. Everyone hates me because of what you did to me and you don't even care. Naruto snapped violently. Tsunade was shocked by his proclamation. Then Naruto, why you said you loved Konoha? Tsunade started, but a very bitter laugh escaped from Naruto. I love the place that beaten, imprisoned, stabbed, poisoned, vandalized, stolen, and raped me, that is some sick joke, Bachan. Naruto snapped while the last word was absolutely covered in sarcasm and venom. Tsunade cringed under the old nickname that she thought would have been long gone. How could you expect me to love a place that absolutely seethes my very existence? I absolutely hate Konoha. Naruto snapped. But what about your dream to become Hokage? Tsunade asked. I only wanted to become Hokage for one reason, and for one reason only. A Jinchuriki can never trust a cage. Naruto said. A gasp escaped from that and stared at her son's back. What do you mean, Sachi? What the hell did I say? Are you mental too? I told you all, you lost the right to call me that. Naruto snapped at Kushina and began to pace around the room in anger. Kushina and Tsunade put their heads down. What I graciously mean is that a Jinchuriki can never trust a cage. A Jinchuriki can never trust a Hokage, Mizukage, Reikage, Tsuchikage, and a Kazekage. Those cages would only use us Jinchurikis as a tool, as a weapon, as a fucking punching bag when necessary. You damn cages believe you're doing the right thing when faced with a decision. A decision that'll force you to make a choice. Eventually, there will come a time when you damn cages will be forced to choose us Jinchurikis or the village. And to clear your damn consciousness, you're going to wind up choosing the village. I wanted to become Hokage simply to protect myself. Naruto snapped. What do you mean, Naruto? Tsunade asked. Naruto laughed at her bitterly. Of course. You're only a cage for a few days. So you'll never understand. There will come a time when the village is in such a great danger that you'll be forced to use me to protect it or lose the village. Naruto shouted in Tsunade's face. I would never, Tsunade tried to say. Don't. Naruto stated coldly and held his urge to just kill everyone here while shaking his angry and accusing finger. You will end up choosing the village over me. I prayed to Kami that when you adopted me, I prayed to Kami that you wouldn't use me as a weapon for this Kami damned village, but I knew I was trying to grasp for straws. I knew I was fooling myself. You wouldn't be able to take the guilt of failing this village. Even if I saved your drunken ass from Kabuto team, you still would have ended up sacrificing me for the sake of the many. Like that one saying goes, the lives of the many outweighs the lives of the few, or one. Naruto reminded coldly. By now, Tsunade hung her head down in shame, fully understanding why Naruto wanted to become Hokage. So, why you? I only accepted the adoption purely because I hoped that being a family to you would make you think twice into not using me as some tool, but I was a complete fool. I knew you wouldn't be able to deal with failing this village when you lied to me about my parents, and they are alive this whole time. Naruto shouted and harshly thrusted his finger at the Uzumaki Namikaze family. Now what Naruto said wasn't completely the truth. In all honesty, Naruto would have enjoyed being adopted by Tsunade, but to see her lie to him in his face told him he would have some issues dealing with the adoption. I didn't know they were alive this whole time. Tsunade screamed to defend herself. Liar. Do not lie to me like you already have, Tsunade. Jiraiya has a spy network that reports directly to you. He would have told you these pieces of filth was still alive. Naruto shouted. Tsunade began to weep quietly. Within the back of her mind, she wondered how Naruto knew Jiraiya had a spy network. This wasn't supposed to end like this. Tsunade mourned. And my so-called family Minato Namikaze Konoha's yellow flash. The Yondaime Hokage is my father, Naruto stated with his voice absolutely dripping and pouring with sarcasm. To everyone's horror, Naruto began to menacingly laugh as if he was growing insane. I must have been one complete idiot. I almost look like this baka, and yet I didn't see it. I'm a total baka. And here I thought he was my hero. And yet. This whole time he was my trash of a father. So father. Naruto said. Kushina and Tsunade began weeping because of his voice which was pouring a waterfall of sarcasm. Naruto was giving her brother a shocked look while Minato stayed frowning throughout his rant. Why throughout this whole time, you came back after 13 years? Am I just a deadbeat child that you never wanted? Oh wait, Konoha needed its Jinchuriki. Let me guess, Konoha was weakened at that time when Fuzzy Bud attacked it all those years ago, leaving it weakened to other forces. So you ended up sacrificing me for the sake of this village. He spat the last word out like it was some disease. 13 years later, Orochimaru ended up attacking Konoha, killing its Hokage in the process, and wrecking it in his way. So let me guess, you came back when you noticed Konoha was in danger. So I ask you, why couldn't you come back earlier? Naruto asked. Kushina had enough and stood up with tears streaming from her face. We can't use chakra. Kushina screamed. Total silence. Absolute silence shook the room by storm. Naruto was stunned by his mother's answer. Minato kept his grim look while Tsunade stared at Kushina in shock. Naruto started picking at her toenails. Mind elaborating? Naruto asked while blinking his eyes a few times in shock. It was the Kyuubi attack all those years ago. There was a masked man that attacked us all those years ago that goes by the name of Madara Uchiha. Tsunade gasped. The man was supposed to be dead after all these years. Then that masked man pulled the Kyuubi out of me and the result left my chakra coils damaged beyond repair. I couldn't protect you the way I wanted to and all of our enemies would have came down on us if we were raising you. We couldn't protect you when we were weak. As for Minato, he's a completely different story. Kushina admitted with tears cascading from her face as she hung her head in shame. So why didn't you take me with you? Naruto asked in a way that would make an Anbu root proud, and that's saying something. Rude Anbu doesn't feel pride. The world knew I was pregnant but didn't know I was pregnant with twins. We couldn't keep my pregnancy a secret because that is something that we cannot hide. So we admitted to having a single child and in secret whisking away the other. I had to make an impossible choice between my two children, so I chose the lesser evil and taking Naruko away to avoid letting unmentionable things from happening to her. Kushina admitted with a solemn face. Naruto adopted a very dark expression while contemplating on what to do next. Everyone understood what Kushina meant by lesser evil. The act is considered a Kunoichi's worst fear. For once, the seemingly insensitive Naruko began to shed a single tear and a gasp escaped her lip. The blonde girl put her head down on what it seems to be shame. So you made your choice. Very well Kushina team, you just picked a side. Naruto said, getting Kushina to whimper out. No, I didn't. I want, you want, I want. Wanting, hoping, thinking, none of that matters when you left me. You chose to leave me behind, so you picked your side. Naruto snapped and turned to Minato with absolute hate in his eyes. So Minato team, why didn't you leave behind someone to take care of me? Surely you would have left behind something for me, surely you're not all that heartless. Naruto asked in the same tone he said before. My sensei, Jiraiya, and Kushina-chan's best friend, Mikoto Uchiha, was supposed to take care of you. Respectively, they are your godparents. Minato admitted and he got blasted with killer intent. You are a total baka. Jiraiya cares more about staring at women's breasts than taking care of a deadbeat child. Hell. I found out a woman was underage in jutsu before he did. What? Tsunade shrieked. Naruto ignored her. And he was a complete and total baka. Let alone he was a failure of a godfather. And don't you dare get me started on that Uchiha witch. Kushina gasped. Did you know Jiraiya came into my kami-forsaken life just a couple months ago? Yeah. I only knew Jiraiya for a couple months and I already can tell Jiraiya is a failure of a teacher. Did you know, in a span of 2 months, all he taught me was the Kuchiyas no Jutsu and the Rasengan? I feel absolutely sickened. I felt I could have received more training on my own. What? Tsunade shrieked again, this time louder. If she ever meets that baka of a Sannin, and don't get me started on that baka of a sensei called Kakashi. Naruto spat. Minato's frown deepened even more. Tsunade looked like she was going to have a field day punishing everyone who dared to harm Naruto. Naruto started to shake his head disappointedly as he tried to restrain his ungodly amount of anger, but he had absolutely no success. I had enough of Konoha. Tsunade, I quit. Naruto quitted and started walking out of the office. Wait. I deny your resignation. Tsunade shouted in desperation. Naruto frozen in place for a quick second before laughing like a madman. It's too late, Bachan. I'm leaving Konoha. Naruto said. Now, Minato growled and flickered in front of Naruto. Naruto. You cannot leave. Konoha needs its Jinchuriki was cut off when Naruto slammed his fist into Minato's face. You're the world's worst father. Why aren't you angry at this village for all that it did to me? They even fucking raped me. Why aren't you pissed off like any normal father? Naruto demanded. Minato was nearly unfazed by Naruto's outburst. The only evidence that he actually cared was the ever-descending look on Minato's lips. Your fate has been sealed the moment you became Konoha's Jinchuriki. I call bullshit on that. Kushina team was a Jinchuriki too. So why isn't her fate sealed along with mine? Naruto demanded with the word fate being spat out. Kushina looked away again in shame, while Minato simply gave a look of apathy. If Konoha needed its Jinchuriki, then why doesn't Konoha protect its Jinchuriki the same way the Jinchuriki protects Konoha? Why is it so bad to have a symbiotic relationship in this world? Yeah, Tsunade, I'm sure in your medical expertise you know what that means. Naruto snapped and turned around to face a sobbing Tsunade. I only need time, Naruto. I'll change everything. Please. Stay. Tsunade pleaded. By now, Minato recovered from the blow and gingerly slapped Naruto's shoulder while Naruto wasn't paying attention. A detail seal appeared on Naruto's shoulder. I'm sorry, Naruto. I truly am. I hoped that my dying wish would be followed by the villagers, but Naruto cut him off by coldly shrugging his father's grip. You people talk about hope, prayers, and sweetened words, but what I see is a group of people that can't even follow their own laws. In the words of the hypocrite Kakashi Haddock, those that don't follow the rules are scum, but those who abandon their friends and their family is worse than scum. And this room is filled with even worse than the worst of scum. Naruto coldly said and walked away, but suddenly stopped. You know, there are only 3 clans in this entire world that I truly envy. One was the Uzumaki. Kushina perked up to this despite the tears. I envy them because they never leave family behind. They would drop whatever they were doing just to save a single family member, no matter how old or how defective they are, and Uzumaki would always come to save them no matter the odds. I honor that. I respect that. I envy that. I was totally jealous of that. Naruto shouted. And I once, though there were no Uzumakis left in the world. I thought I was the last. If there really were another, they would have came for me. In the end, I was right. I am the last Uzumaki. The Uzumaki clan shall live on through me, or die with me. Naruto said coldly and turned to Kushina, who collapsed on the ground. You have dishonored the Uzumaki clan. Naruto stated and glared at Kushina. The true Uzumaki wouldn't let a defect like yours stop them from rescuing me. Naruto said and turned to Tsunade with an icy cold glare. Another clan I genuinely respected was the Senju clan. Tsunade picked her head up. She was already expecting her turn at reprimanding. The Senju clan was a clan that fought for what they believed was right, and this started with a man called Hashirama Senju. In the beginning, the Senju clan was like any other clan, always killing children. He growled the last word. Pillaged the innocent and always looked out for number one. But that changed when Hashirama Senju revolutionized the entire shinobi world by creating the first shinobi village, Konohagakure. Naruto turned around to see the group in complete silence. But that isn't important. What was important was what Hashirama truly left behind. A code called the Will of Fire. The Sandaime Hokage, the old man, or rather the old fool, Naruto spat. Couldn't even beat a bunch of civilians. Doesn't he know there are two absolutes in this world? Doesn't he know power and love is what makes this world go round? I guess not. The old fool had absolutely no power to back him up, and I suffered so much because of his lack of action. If I recall, every shinobi village runs by military might, a dictatorship. If the old fool has no military might, then he should have stepped down. Naruto stated. But the old fool isn't important either. What's important is the Will of Fire. The Will of Fire was long ago corrupted by the very Hokages that stands in this room. The Will of Fire was meant to fight for the people, not the village. The village can be rebuilt, but lives cannot. Lives will be forever lost and forgotten in time, while the damned village will have a mark in history. But I will change that. Naruto shouted. I will revolutionize the world in my own image. A world that I truly respect, a world that I truly dream for. I will not let this pitiful family, he spat out the last word like a flame of the Amaterasu. Stop me from reaching that world. Naruto shouted in the room. And finally the third clan. The Uchiha clan. I respect them because of what they are. Naruto admitted. But they're traitors. Tsunade shouted. She knew of the Uchiha clan massacre after reading a report on them. And that is where you're wrong. The Uchiha clan was never traitors. The true traitors are all of this village. The Uchiha clan believed in power, and power is one of the absolutes in this world, but there was one Uchiha I admired most of all. This Uchiha knew both absolutes, and I absolutely loved him. But I'm not going to tell you who that Uchiha is. You're gonna have to find out for yourself. Naruto chuckled with a feral grin and began to walk away. Naruto. Come back. Tsunade and Kushina pleaded and followed him. Naruto never even gotten past the door before Kushina and Tsunade threw themselves at him in an attempt to stop him, but Naruto merely backhanded the both of them. I had enough. I'm leaving. Naruto walked away, but before he walked past the door, Minato unexpectedly shouted. Naruto. Stop him. Minato shouted. Instantly, Naruto stood on her feet and shot chakra chains from her body, but she didn't stop there. Naruto flipped through hand seals and what she called out shocked the two senjus. Mokuton. Shichikura no Jutsu, wood release. Four-pillar prison technique. Naruto shouted. Around Naruto, a wooden prison shot upwards around him and imprisoned him in place. The chakra chains slipped through the wooden bars and held Naruto in place. What? This bitch knows the Mokuton. Tsunade screeched in a tone that would make Sakura proud and pointed an accusing finger at Naruto. So, Ba-chan, you'd rather stare at her than demand these people to free me, then it looks like you made your choice too. Naruto shouted indignantly and shocked that Tsunade would stare at the girl restraining her instead of demanding these people to free him. And no. This was just one of those spurs of the moment kind of things. Naruto. Tsunade tried to admit and realized her mistake. In all honesty, Tsunade thought she would never see the Mokuton in her lifetime again. She herself is a senju and never gained her Mokuton heritage. If the granddaughter of the Shadai never got it, she never expected the next generations or so wouldn't get it either. Liar. Naruto accused and turned to Minato. You are an absolute fool, Minato team. Your Hiraishin no Jutsu, this girl's Mokuton and chains won't work on me. Naruto bragged with a feral grin as Naruto held her twin tightly. Minato was shocked that Naruto knew about his Hiraishin no Jutsu and his power and seals. And why's that? Minato asked. I'm just a shadow clone. Naruto admitted with an award-winning huge grin. In one instant, Tsunade understood everything. Okami-sama. I sent Naruto on a mission. And this whole time Tsunade had no words to describe what a massive tragedy this meeting was. Not only has she lost the trust of someone who given her everything, but she also lost the trust that she actually wanted to keep. No. Naruto. Come back. Tsunade pleaded before the clone dispelled, but the clone turned to her with a sadistic grin. How about a test? Since you seem so sincere about wanting to change everything, don't send a single Anbu after me. This will be your first test to get my undivided attention. The clone said. Why? Tsunade said, defeated. I will have to return to Konoha someday to protect something important. There will be a day that Konoha is threatened by something so grand that I just have to return. How about this, I will give Konoha one free buy if you don't send any number of Anbu after me. I will still perform the mission I am on, but a clone of me will be the deliverer. From there, you will have my clone's undivided attention, Tsunade. The clone bargained. The clone was talking about the scroll he buried in the Senju compound. As of right now, he cannot, in any way, retrieve the scroll in his current condition. There are simply too many variables that cannot be counted, one involves Tsunade's Anbu, and another is the fact that it's just a clone. As for the bargain itself, the clone realized that the boss is on a mission and will eventually have to return to complete the mission Tsunade gave him for Lee's sake. Once a clone of his boss returns to report the mission, the clone will give Tsunade the clone's full attention and a chance for redemption. Now this bargain gives Naruto a win-win situation. Not only does the clone messenger system works, but it will give Naruto a chance to plan things out without Tsunade's Anbu chasing after him. This will give Naruto a chance to steal his resolve and choose a side, but this will also give a chance to forgive Tsunade for all she did to him. Now if the scenario of Naruto forgives Tsunade comes to life, Naruto would still be Tsunade's son, thus protected and giving a chance to grow properly without any of the sabotages he had to deal with. This in way gives yet another win-win situation. If Naruto were to forgive Tsunade, not only would he be protected from the inside, from all of Konoha. He'll also be protected from the outside too. But then the issue comes of his so-called family. The clone thought that the boss could simply tell them off and seclude himself in the Senju compound and train himself in all the clan's techniques. But if Tsunade ever breaks her word and sends a squad of Anbu to retrieve him for the sake of grabbing him or his Biju, Naruto will have a real chance at escaping in the outside world. Naruto would never be able to escape Konoha if everything came down upon him if he was in Konoha. But in the outside, where he is free, he'll have the best chance. And if he successfully escapes, he'll have a chance to do something meaningful. Now as to why the Naruto clone made this deal is simple. To test how Tsunade will react. If she sends out her Anbu, Naruto will know Tsunade has some ulterior motive, or so he thinks, and possibly wants the Kyuubi. He wouldn't put it past him if she wanted the Kyuubi through adoption. And if Tsunade follows through and doesn't send her Anbu, then she is more than willing to trust him. That was his key goal, trust. I got you pegged. Naruto shouted and vanished in a smoke cloud. The Naruto clone on the hospital rooftop grinned as Sasuke's fireball came towards him. The clone's left hand stuck its thumb to the sky and its right hand cupped the left in a single hand seal. Suiton. Sujin Heki. The shadow clone of Naruto roared to the sky. In one instant, water formed between Naruto and Sasuke's fireball. A hissing sound of evaporation engulfed the hospital rooftop as 5 figures watched the jutsu exchange between Senju and Uchiha carefully. Damn. Sasuke thought in anger. I got no choice. He put his hand out in front of him before a familiar screeching of 1,000 birds came to life. Oh Sasuke-kun. Sakura cheered. The Naruto clone merely smirked and flipped through hand seals. Dodori. Sasuke shouted and thrusted his arm forward. Gyuten. Dotapa. Naruto shouted back. Like with Orochimaru's Gyuten Dotapa, Sasuke was flung far back and into the fences, knocking him clean out. It was a simple battle between range jutsu versus close range jutsu. The Naruto clone simply used range to beat Sasuke's close range attack. Sasuke-kun. Sakura cried out in horror and rushed towards him. But something odd was happening as black marks began to crawl across Sasuke's skin, covering half his body. Sakura began to look at Sasuke in slight fear, but suddenly found her stance. Oh Sasuke-kun. Yeah, Naruto Baka stands no chance when he's like this. Those sound ninjas didn't even had a chance in the forest of death. Sakura thought. I'll kill you. Sasuke roared. The Naruto clone merely smirked until a swarm of memories came to him. The clone smirk grew. No, you won't, cause I'm just a shadow clone. The clone's grin grew so very feral one moment before screaming to the world. I got you pegged. The amazing and wonderful clone dispelled in complete triumph. As the real Naruto leapt on trees out of Konoha at a leisurely pace for a ninja, he looked over his shoulder to see Kakashi hopping after him. Skipping on branches was what the copy ninja was doing while reading his perverted novel. Naruto didn't like the copy ninja for a lot of reasons. Most of them was because of his blatant favoritism for the Rookie of the Year, but another reason was because he is the killer of Haku, an innocent, a true friend. Naruto passed by several dozen branches by branch hopping till he felt a swarm of memories calling to him. His normally happy mask turned into a deepening frown. To his surprise, he let a single teardrop from his eye. Kyuubi. We have a lot to talk about. Very well. And I expect no lies this time. Done. Naruto wondered why the Kyuubi simply lied to his face when he was going to meet his real parents. It didn't make sense. If the Kyuubi blatantly lied to him right before he was going to meet the truth, then why lie? What's your game, Kyuubi? Naruto wondered and leapt past more branches. Eventually, sensei and students sighted a seemingly peacefully village. Before they moved on, Naruto had some last thoughts. Tell me how you survived the Haki no Shiki Fuin, that jutsu was supposed to claim your life after you used it. Tsunade had said. I'll only say this. The Shinigami only slashes once. Minato had said. What did Minato team mean by that? Naruto wondered and looked to the sky. It was blue and clear, and the clouds were few. Having enough sightseeing, Naruto faced his front. I have a lot to think about, he noted. Somewhere in the outskirts of Konoha, 20 Anbu look-alike people are inside an underground bunker. Each of these people wore a white mask that is shaped into various animals, and all of them wore black cloaks. These people are rather confused as to what to do next, and there are people who are simply sitting on the floor, staring into nothing. The underground bunker itself is mostly colored in dark blue cement walls. There is a walkway along a deep abyss and an elevator that is pulled by a strong string that leads to the surface. This underground bunker is Danzo's base of operations. Root. As of now, there are 20 members inside. There are so many reasons as to why there are only 20 members. The incident with Aim's orphans was the biggest reason. Danzo practically lost every root Anbu he possessed that day. And it was even worse when Hiruzen ordered his root program faulty and disbanded. Danzo couldn't get more members into his program during this time, thus he was forced to siphon Konoha's potential shinobi for his root program. The process was extremely slow over the years, as he was only able to get a half dozen a year or so since the order to tear down Root. But as more dangerous missions came up, causalities were taken. Root practically survived off the skin of their teeth. Root's effectiveness over the elemental nations plummeted the moment Danzo lost nearly every single one of his men to Nagato, one of the Aim orphans and the Nidaime Mikage. And Root stayed down when Hiruzen disbanded his program. But not anymore. Orange-san, what do we do now? An orange-haired Yamanaka asked with absolutely no emotion in his voice. Our cursed seals are removed. That means Danzo-sama is dead. His words even after saying his master is dead holds no emotion whatsoever. Each of these root members holds no emotion as to what they do. Danzo believed emotion is a weakness, thus emotions are removed from his members. I am not sure Fu, however, Danzo-sama would want to protect Konoha from all forces. Another root member makes his debut via Shunshin. Fu-san, Danzo-sama gave me orders in the case of his death. We are to look into his room and find a scroll on his table. Let us go there now. The root member told. The 3 root members all vanished in a cloud of smoke. The 3 root members reappeared inside a room and circled towards a table. On said table is a scroll with a detailed plan of what to do upon Danzo's death. Gently, Fu took the scroll in his hands and unfurled a bit of it. He read. The all root forces. Afterwards, Fu began to read through Danzo's plan with his full and undivided attention. When he read through it, he gave the scroll to his 2 partners to read. Once all 3 read the scroll, they took special notice of the last order. Take control of the Kyuubi through any means necessary. Your last orders from Danzo Shimura, the leader of Root, in the event Danzo Shimura's death comes to pass. What if Kami give Naruto Senju and Uzumaki bloodline? Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.